Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
They're going to throw it to him. Big fella. Barreling downhill. Pressure. Muscling down near the pylon. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I feel so bad for Kyron Jones, the poor safety. No chance to bring the big fella down. Watch 31 come up here, Chris. He sees 360 pounds. He just dives, misses. Look at the big fella.
Here's the snap. Here's the throw. Catches Murray. Down the middle of the field goal. Surratt. Touchdown! And Indiana scores a 49-yard pass play. And a break by Aidan to Surratt that broke a tackle. And he turns it into theirs. Slant. A run. And there he goes. Elijah Surratt. Touchdown, Indiana.
Oh my, drops it off in the flats to Fagan. Fagan hits the edge. Down the sideline. Can he stay in bounds? Does he have enough? Touchdown, Illinois. 64 yards.
We said the whiteout was really going to be a white canvas for us today. We get an opportunity to paint our masterpiece, and those guys did it. Did an unbelievable job of just going out there and executing every play and playing the next play. I thought we had really good composure throughout the game. There was a couple times we hurt ourselves. Penalty, obviously there, late, from Harkey, something we got to be able to control. Didn't see it on the field, but obviously it happened. But overall, our players played, their asses off, whistle to whistle.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, Austin?
Oh, just surviving, thriving, doing what we can. That was a fun football weekend.
It was a good football weekend. I am still laughing as the highlight show on the TV in front of me about the 40-40 tie we had
The Sunday night
tie.
tie.
The game was like 30-27 with 2.5 minutes left, and it ends 40-40. That's always fun when we see that, when we get a nice little tie. We love ties, right?
Yeah, Dak might have been on one last night, other than the sack that we're just about to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't ideal.
I liked how they downplayed that sack too. They're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. He would have walked into the end zone and scored a touchdown. The game would have been over if he doesn't get the sack at the end of the game. What are we talking about?
It quite literally was the biggest deal in the game.
I was thinking about this. Obviously, the 40-40. Are you for ties in the regular season?
I mean, if we're going to allow for ties in the regular season, I don't even know why we have overtime.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if it's we're either going to play this thing out or it's just over.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just pick one. I don't care. If after a certain amount of time you want to do something different, like a college-style overtime. I mean, listen, college-style overtime has its problems. There's no ties.
It used to be perfect in my eyes. It used to be perfect.
Before the 2-point conversions?
Before the 2-point. Well, obviously the 2-point conversion after 2 overtimes was great, but you had to keep actually playing football.
Yeah, it
not
wasn't
just one
just
play. Hey, let's go over this side of the field.
Yeah.
One play down there. All right, one play back.
I mean, it's very much like a shootout.
Yeah.
Like a soccer style shootout.
Yeah, I mean,
which famously as Americans we hate.
Yeah.
But no, I would rather see that than a tie, though, if I'm being honest. I'd rather do the stupid little 2-point conversion thing 100 times.
Oh, good morning to you as well, Headley. He said, howdy, Ravi, and the Caucasian co-host. Call me CC from here on out. I don't mind that.
CCAJ?
Listen, everything's got a nickname, right? No, I'm not. So I was actually thinking about it on the way in today that, you're listening to like the highlights or just other people talk about the game and everything. I wonder if the NFL just might go to like just timeless overtimes. You just get possessions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because truthfully, it really shouldn't matter. But if you're going to keep the ties, then you have to keep the time limit on the overtime because that's, what's culminating. And I know what they would claim. They'd be like, well, player safety. You'd be like, okay, sure. You always say player safety, but then didn't we just send another team to Ireland yesterday? And then aren't we sending more teams to Brazil, allegedly, and we're doing all this other stuff?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does a timeless overtime really do then?
You know what would be better for player health than ending games in ties? Not playing a 17th game.
That's true. Or maybe adding an 18th. Oh, but we got to keep our ties.
Or not not having guys play on like 3.5 days rest on a Sunday to a Thursday. Like if we were, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of ways to deal with player safety and none of them involve a tie.
Yeah.
Couple comments early. Coach Stokes says, good morning, fellas. DB been praying for you and he called the USC loss. He certainly did. Also, he called a couple good ones.
We were pretty good on our bet on it on Friday too.
Yeah, so unfortunately, DB did call Virginia beating Florida State, which I didn't love that one. Was less enthused about that one.
Yeah, that's okay.
He did say that Iowa was going to be frisky with Indiana.
We agreed.
He had a couple other ones. He had a good weekend in terms of calling games. But
did you hear Mendoza talk about the spread?
No.
He took that safety right at the end of the game, which also you want to like tank your rushing yards. That's one way to do it.
All-time bad beat, though.
But he legitimately beat. I think he said, I need to look it up exactly, but he said something along the lines of like, well, there are some people that are going to be mad at us, but we're happy that we got the win. Like, oh, really? Okay.
I mean, he very easily could have not gone into the end zone and still ran the timeout.
100%.
You know 100%. What I mean? Like, there's a lot going on there, but
this quote what he said after the game. I probably shouldn't be saying this. You probably shouldn't say it then, but I know I probably cooked people's spreads and stuff like that. He said after the game,
which is wild, which means he's aware of what the spread was going in.
Wasn't it 8.5 though? So it wouldn't have mattered.
I think it was 6.5.
Was it 6? Okay, never mind.
I think it closed at 6.5, or it wasn't 6.5 for a large portion.
Why was he watching? Because he was in Iowa the whole time. He was just poking at it.
Keep the eyeballs out.
You got to be careful about those Hawkeyes.
If he was in Nebraska, he could have gotten a warhorse. But so Cody says Kalen DeBoer now 7-0 against Lanning, Smart, and Sark.
That's crazy.
That's pretty good.
That is not bad.
That's pretty good.
Different teams, but yeah.
Still, some at Alabama.
I was going to ask who had the bigger win in red this weekend. Was it Kansas City or was it Alabama?
Well, Alabama's really more of a Crimson, famously.
Okay, fair.
The Crimson Tide, as it were. No, it was. I thought it was pretty crucial for Kansas City to get.
I felt that too, and obviously, like if Alabama lost to Georgia, I don't think a lot of people wake up feeling a lot different about them. But the way the response came from Alabama fans, and I mean, they feel like they're all the way back too. I've never seen a team go from completely dead, never going to be able to resurrect their program ever again. The coach is getting fired from 1 week to 4 weeks. I mean, pretty much the same month. That then later on they're like, oh, nope, we're back. Never mind. Everything is okay.
Yeah, I do think the Alabama narrative is pretty funny just with I mean, obviously I've always been a Kalen DeBoer fan. I have been very concerned about his job basically from the minute he took it.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to remain a head coach.
I mean, Friday we were talking about what teams we don't want him to take over in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where we were Friday.
Absolutely.
24 hours later, he was fine.
And honestly, 4 weeks from now, we could be in the same spot.
You're 100% right.
Like, that's just how.
They better hope Vanderbilt's on the schedule. Jeez,
hey,
I better go look.
You better watch out. Although Vanderbilt, it took him a little while with Utah State this weekend.
Yeah, well, notable power for Utah State. That SEC scheduling.
Listen,
Alabama Vanderbilt is indeed this Saturday.
Perfect. Got Diego Pavia coming to town.
Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, Utah State, you got Bronco Mendenhall, good coach out there.
That is true. I do love Bronco.
I was a big Bronco Mendenhall fan when he was at BYU.
That haircut, though, that's working something.
The Virginia stint wasn't quite as successful. He's no Tony Elliott. We know that.
That's true. That's true.
No, I thought it was a really good weekend of college football. I'm trying to think if I had a favorite. I mean, Alabama, Georgia was way up there. I thought, low-key, this is a below-the-radar one. And we did talk about it, I think, a little bit on Friday. Tennessee, Mississippi State was a barn burner.
Yeah, we were high on the Bulldogs.
Yeah, which I think they showed well. I mean, I think they're.
They have no reason to be upset. I mean, they were picked last in the SEC. Like anything that they're doing at this point is still, and they're still receiving top 25 votes. I mean,
I mean, that's a team. I think if you're a bowl team and you're Mississippi State, you got to be pretty happy with the progress under Jeff Lebby. But that was a super fun game to watch. There was Oregon Penn State was close. I don't know how fun it was.
It wasn't fun until the last 4 minutes.
Yes.
But even then, not even being an Oregon fan, just what I had put on the Ducks from Friday's show through the weekend, what I've been telling people, I was like, I don't understand the Penn State wideout, all that other stuff. I was like, Oregon's going to come to play.
Yeah.
Like I had picked Oregon outright. Those last 4 minutes of the Penn State offense finally just deciding to wake up and do something.
Yeah.
But there is some poetic justice in the fact that they ran the ball to get back in the game, to tie the game. And they mixed in. Drew Aller had a couple of moments, but your very first play of the second overtime, you decide to throw the ball and it immediately gets intercepted. There is some type of poetic justice that Drew Aller, James Franklin, they just can't get over this hump.
Yeah, I didn't really have a rooting interest in this one. I didn't bet on it or anything like that. And I don't really care about either of these two teams by themselves.
Yeah.
I did at one point really, really want Penn State to win because it
helps Nebraska's narrative.
Well, not just that, but the peak hilarity of Penn State chanting "Fire Franklin" and then them winning the game
would have been fun.
Would have been off the
Yes.
charts.
Yeah.
I would have been so happy.
Well, and then you would have gotten the double. You would have had that, and then the Dan Lanning throat slash.
Yeah.
After they got the 4th and 1, which, to be fair, everyone would have done that. I would have been doing that.
Well,
the game should have been over.
I don't think we should use your margin or your barometer. I was like, yes, everyone would do this.
Just saying. I think everybody would have been like, game over. We're good.
Yeah.
We got it.
I mean, I would have been pumped about it for sure.
Yeah.
I just think the funniest possible thing that could have happened is for all of Happy Valley to be chanting "Fire Franklin," and he comes out with one of the biggest wins of his tenure there. That would have been incredible. Obviously, it did not play out that way. But no, I think the big question coming out of this one is just is obviously there's something there with Penn State and not being able to kind of get over the hump here. But I really struggle kind of with the narrative, right? Because I try and put it in the, how would I feel if this was happening to Nebraska, right? Like, let's say Nebraska gets to a certain point. And listen, Nebraska has different hurdles they have to clear before they get to this point. But that's kind of the lens I'm putting it through is, okay, do I really think that there's something fundamentally about James Franklin and Drew Aller that prevents them from winning games like this? No, I don't. Do I still think it's very strange and I don't have a good explanation of why they can't win games like this? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I struggle with that because I don't have a good answer, but I also don't tend to believe he's just incapable of doing it.
Yeah. Well,
right?
I like the argument that some people use where, top 25 games and top 10 games are hard to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true because obviously you're playing talented teams.
You're playing good opponents.
And also Penn State has routinely been a part of these games because they've had to play Ohio States and Michigans and Michigan States over the years that have been these top 10 teams. But the fact that they just never clear the hurdle, or when they do, it's over. I mean, a lot of people tried to give them, the big pat on the back last year because they won a home playoff game against SMU. And then they went on and won a couple of games in the college football playoff, which, you don't want to discredit them. But then you looked at the path in which they went comparative to others. It just wasn't the same. And so it's hard to justify that. Did you see James Franklin's tweet this Sunday morning?
I did not.
Can you guess what it could have been? This was Sunday morning this was yesterday at 6 p.m. I apologize. It was actually yesterday evening.
I don't know.
Okay.
What do we got?
Game week. Let's do this together, Nittany Nation. We need everyone. Students, faculty, lettermen, alumni, and fans worldwide locked in on being 1-0 against UCLA on Saturday. #WeAre.
I was just about to ask. I go, who do they play? Because this is setting up to be a hilariously tone-deaf tweet. If it's some, I was thinking maybe Northwestern because I don't have Penn State's schedule memorized. That's really funny.
That's so funny.
That's really funny.
I'm scrolling back right now just to see if he tweets this every Sunday night or something.
He's got to, right?
I really hope so.
He
just
has
for his sake. Gosh, this guy loves a retweet. My goodness.
So the AI is telling me that James Franklin's record against AP top 10 opponents is 4-21.
Ooh.
So that's tough.
It does appear that he tweets this every Sunday night at 6.
Okay, that's good.
I'll give him that.
That's good. 2 of those 4 wins both came in 2016, one against Ohio State, one against number 6 Wisconsin. So the record is tough. That's a tough look if you're James Franklin to be 4-21. But I also, and DB and I kind of had this conversation over the summer, I am having a hard time getting super, I thought Oregon was better going in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So should I be surprised that it was a double overtime win for Oregon? That's in its totality, yes, it feels weird.
But it felt, I mean, if you watched the entirety of the game and didn't just tune into the box score at the very end, right? Oregon dominated that game.
They did.
I mean, they really did.
17-3, the tying it up felt fluky.
They did attempt to try to pee down their leg at the very
did.
final 3 minutes of the game. But I mean, they
were loading up the bladder, see what they could do.
Yeah, I mean, it was like an 8-hour road trip, and they were 6 hours in that thing.
Yeah, they were.
They had the big jug in the back. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do here.
We were thinking about going the Gatorade bottle option at one point. Yeah,
but I will, and also, I mean, for as lazy and kind of sloppy and weird as a game as it was, Oregon was at least moving the ball and kind of controlling the pace of the game. And then by the end of the fourth quarter, you could tell like Oregon was just in control of the contest, at least until Penn State started to get back into it. But I was impressed by Dante Moore. I was impressed by Oregon's defense. I thought they stepped up like in every capacity. I just don't know what to make of Penn State. Like I don't know where to, like, if I'm going Big Ten hierarchy, Ohio State feels really good. I thought that they were pretty impressive in a win against Washington. I thought that was actually like a pretty like under the radar, like you mentioned, kind of like fun games and stuff. Ohio State,
that game was close.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 14-6 going into the fourth quarter. Like that was a close game for a really long time. Like Washington was pretty game.
Yeah, and to win on the road there in Washington, I've been pretty high on. I thought that was a pretty good team to be able to beat on the road too. But then you probably put Oregon next. Do you put Penn State third in Big Ten hierarchy as we sit like after 5 weeks? I don't know.
I think you still have to. I mean, who else is it?
Indiana?
Maybe, although, I mean, they had
I know you don't want to say it.
Well, not just that, but
TK would. I know. I got to check chat. I'm sure TK's yelling at us.
How do we feel about Iowa? Because that'll tell me how I feel about Indiana.
That is true. Well, then you can keep cascading that line, right? Because then how do you feel about Illinois?
Exactly.
How do you feel about USC? You can keep
I don't
going
feel great about USC. I never really have. I mean, I think they're talented. I think they're going to struggle with certain Big Ten matchups and opponents.
Luke Altmaier fourth quarter win.
We love big Luke Altmaier.
Listen, 2 years ago, you couldn't have told me that sentence even existed. It is crazy how well Luke Altmaier has like progressed.
Yeah, he's aged really well in the last couple of years, especially. Yeah. But I think you probably have to still put Penn State. I mean, I'm sure some people put Indiana third, but I just don't. I'm having a hard time getting mad at Penn State about the result when I think Oregon was better.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, when I look at the totality of 4-21 for James Franklin, that's a tough look.
Yeah.
Right. For sure. But I also have to take it that, all but one of those is not on this year's team.
Yeah.
Now, it might be on him specifically, but it's not on, well, some of them are probably on Drew Aller. I mean, some of them are definitely on Drew Aller. But this, this particular set of players most of those 25 games don't apply to them, right?
Yeah.
So I try and sit here and say, okay, in the moment, I'm looking at this. I thought Penn State held up incredibly well against an Oregon team that I think is better than they are. So should I be impressed with Penn State? Should I knock them for that? Or do I have to look at it and say, James Franklin and Drew Aller can't get over the hump? Like I'm having a really hard time to know what to do with that because you do have this sort of thing. I do think it's sort of a supercharged version of where Nebraska's at right now, right? Obviously, You're not talking about top 10 opponents. You're talking about top 25 opponents for Nebraska, and you're talking about overtime wins and things like that. Kind of the boogeyman list that DB and I were making earlier. But it is very similar in that, hey, most of that is a lot of that's not on Coach Rule, although some of it is. Most of it's not on these players, although some of it is. But in a vacuum, do I have to sit here and think, okay, Nebraska hasn't been good as most of these top 25 teams in the last decade, right? Nebraska hasn't been in a position where, I mean, we think they should be beating some of these teams, and maybe we're right some of the time, but you take it in on an individual basis, you go, yeah, I mean, you look at the totality of the records, like when Nebraska goes 3-9 in 2021, you can't be that upset they didn't beat any ranked teams.
Right.
They barely beat any teams.
Yes.
Right? Like that's kind of how 3-9 goes. You didn't win very many.
Yep.
So, and as much as we hate to say it, all of the last 8 years prior to last year was more losses than wins. So why would you expect to have any ranked wins on the schedule?
Right. Yeah. Right? And I think that's a good point too. I tried to do like a quick Google to see if I could find James Franklin's record, maybe even against the spread in top 10 games, because that's a good indicator, right? Because if you're not favored,
it's a better indicator. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're not favored to win and you play 20 top 10 games, but you're number 9 and you're always playing number 1 or 2, that's a little bit different, right? Penn State obviously was favored in this last one. Here's by opponent. Are you ready for this? This is James Franklin in top 10 games by opponent. He is 1-18 against Big Ten teams.
Yep.
His one win has come against Ohio State. He is 1-9 against the Buckeyes, 0-5 against Michigan, 0-2 against Michigan State, 0-2 against Oregon, 0-1 against Iowa, 0-1 against Notre Dame, 0-1 against USC, with his 3 other victories outside of the Ohio State top 10 wins being against Wisconsin, Utah, and Boise State. So 2 of them are not even Big Ten teams. He does have a loss to a non-Big Ten team. But yeah, 1-9 and then 1-18 against 1-9 against Ohio State, 1-18 against Big Ten teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
Because, again, and maybe that's where the narrative just comes out a little bit more, too, because it's the same Jimmies and Joes you face every single year
like
in and
the
year
same
out.
people.
Right.
I mean, because it mostly is the same people. Right?
Because if Nebraska was losing, or Penn State, or whatever team you want to put on here, right? Like, if they were losing week 1 or week 2, like LSU had, like, that 5-year streak before the start of this season that they had lost all those season openers.
Yeah.
They were playing good teams.
Yeah.
But the narrative was because it was their season opener, right? That they kept losing the season opener and they couldn't beat whoever.
Yeah, like if you lost to Florida State in week 2, it's less of a thing than you have 5 straight season openers. The other thing that I don't know, like how many times has Penn State been better than Ohio State? Like basically never.
Maybe the Saquon year?
Yeah, but
that's probably about it.
Maybe 1 year, right? Like, so that's 1 win, right?
Yes.
And
yeah.
You know, like I sit here and I go, okay.
Jeez, what was Ohio State's worst year in that run? Like the Dwayne Haskins year? Was that the same timeline right there?
Maybe it's that 2016.
Is that somewhere around there?
Because that's when the loss came, right? And I don't think 2016 is the Saquon year, or is a Saquon year for Penn State. But that's kind of my point. Like Ohio State's definitely always been better than Penn. I mean, with 1 year offset here or there.
Yeah.
Right. We talked to a Penn State writer earlier before the season, and he said they might be close this year. Like they might be closer to even this year. I don't think that's true. I think Ohio State's probably a little better than we thought they were.
Yeah.
Penn State's, I think, about who we thought they were, but I don't know. I just go, okay. Like you're asking at some point for an upset, which is fine. But then that can't be the expectation, because otherwise it wouldn't be an upset.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the part where I'm struggling. Is it's weird that the record has accumulated to this point for James Franklin.
Yeah.
I think we also have an expectation that because it's Penn State, they're closer to these teams than maybe they have been.
And that's what I thought.
I think the helmet does them a lot of disservice.
And watching the Oregon game, there wasn't really a position on the field. Maybe you felt differently. I don't think that there was a position on that field that I watched through what ended up being essentially 6 quarters of football that Penn State definitively had a better player at that position than Oregon did. I don't know that they did across that entire, I think there were some that are close and some that you could be like, oh, it's a wash here. But I don't know that Penn State had one single player that I was like, I would rather have that guy than Oregon's guy in that contest. And that's one way that Ohio State beats you every single year, is that they have uber talented players. They have uber talented rosters and much more talented teams that you look across. I mean, that's been kind of the juxtaposition for Nebraska's roster when they play some of these top flight Big Ten teams, right? They look across and just say, well, we're just not better than that guy is across the roster, right? And I think that might be maybe the issue with Penn State. I was listening to a show the other day that made the argument, the argument was that Penn State was going to get better this year because of transfer acquisitions, new receivers, that sort of stuff. But did they really get better, or are they just the same team with less talented players than last year?
I don't know if they're less talented. I think that
they lost Abdul Carter. I mean, that was
they lost Abdul Carter. They lost Ty Warren. I think it ends up being probably a wash. I think they got better in some spots. I think they got worse in some spots. Some interesting comments in the chat early. So Josh J says, if they fire Franklin, who are they going to get? Things can easily go downhill. Way better to win 10 every year, but lose the big one than win 5 to 7 games every year. Not that we have any idea what that's like. TK says Penn State is still 3, but the gap between 1, 2, and 3 is larger than we thought. That's probably fair.
TK, what about Indiana? I thought you were a big Indiana guy.
I mean, whether you put them 3 or 4, but I'm guessing he's saying it's the top 2. Because I think
are we 10-0?
I think we had it top 3, and then whoever 4 was.
Yeah.
Although I'm having a hard time. Again, it's a double overtime win. How big is that gap if Oregon's in the top 2?
Yeah.
Josh A says it's where Nebraska was before the 90s. That's actually a really good point.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Penn State and Nebraska were very similar spots.
Yeah.
Penn State now, Nebraska, late 80s, mid to late 80s, early 90s.
You're not even a groomsman there, though. You're like an usher if you're Penn State. You're never even getting invited to the dance.
Yeah, I mean, I think for much of the, if I remember correctly, for much of the late 80s into early 90s, so was Nebraska.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't really in that They were obviously very good still, but they weren't in that national title conversation the way they were before and after that. Steven says, Ravi, are you actually asking rational thoughts from football fans? I apparently am. Hot Danger makes a good point. I think he says it's the Michigan State and Iowa losses that he should have got. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
The ones where it's talent's probably even or better for Penn State, that he probably needs to get those. Headley makes a interesting comment as well. I mean, outside of Michigan, what's everyone's record against Ohio State the last 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, that's the argument that I made, too, when we look at Big Ten conference like strength of schedules, and you look to see where Ohio State and some of the other, top teams over the past decade have been. They don't have to play themselves, right? Like Ohio State never has to play themselves, so that's their strength of schedule record. So when Ohio State doesn't have to play Ohio State, their record's going to be a lot better against other teams that they're just beating up on every single season. But,
yeah, I mean, there was a not to make everything about tennis, but like when
how did you we were in this deep college football conversation?
It's a good example of something you just brought up.
I'll follow.
One of the best things about being either Djokovic, Federer, or Nadal during that stretch is you didn't have to beat the other three.
Yeah, right.
Right. You only had to beat hopefully one of them.
Yeah.
Right. Where if you were in anybody else in a tennis tournament for most of the 2000s, you had to beat at least two of them. Nightmare, right?
Yep.
Like if you're Ohio State, you don't have to play Ohio State. That's an enormous win on your part just to not have to deal with yourselves, right? So I think that's a really good point where you're just like, yeah, Ohio State, their record is better against everybody else because they don't have to play Ohio State.
Yeah, the best team
like
of
huge
the past
win
2 decades in the Big Ten. Yeah, it's much easier.
Bama had the same thing going for it, right? Like you might if you're in the SEC, was it East at the time? SEC, no, West. West was the good one.
Yeah.
East was the trash one with like Florida and Tennessee. But if you're in the SEC West and you have to okay, I got to go through Georgia, Alabama, and LSU, it's a lot easier if you're Georgia, Alabama, or LSU because then you only have to go through 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to figure out if you're that's the problem with being Ole Miss until they got rid of divisions, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, one of many, but that was one of the big problems. Is I have to beat all of them.
Big weekend for the Rebs, though.
Big weekend for the Rebs. Talk about another guy that was having a narrative.
Oh, yeah.
Having a hard time beating top teams. He said, no, sir, we're taking care of LSU.
Okay, before we get to Ole Miss and all that stuff,
yeah.
I want to wrap up this Penn State thing. Looking at Oregon and Penn State's schedule right now, you probably feel pretty confident on where Oregon is as like a college football playoff contender.
Mm-hmm.
But their back half of the schedule, that's brutal.
For Oregon?
Yeah.
All right, read it off for me.
So Oregon has a bye week following 2 overtimes. They are at home against Indiana. That's going to be a top 10 game on the 11th. Then they travel to Rutgers a week later. They're back at home against Wisconsin on the 25th. They travel to Iowa on November 8th. And then they take on Minnesota at home on the 14th. They are at home against USC on the 22nd, and then on the road to finish the season at Washington.
So
there's a lot of tricky games in there.
The travel, I feel like, makes it trickier than some of the opponents. Like Wisconsin's bad. That's not going to be a
back to back. Traveling to Rutgers, the biggest issue is going to Piscataway.
Yes.
Playing at home against Wisconsin is if Luke Fickell is actually going to be on that plane or not.
Yeah, or if he gets to go back on the plane.
Yes.
So who comes?
Both are possible.
What comes after Rutgers? Again?
So Rutgers at home against Wisconsin, on the road at Iowa, at home against Minnesota, at home against USC.
So they go Rutgers to back home again?
Yes.
So they go home, East Coast, home, 3 weeks in a row.
So
Indiana, Rutgers.
It goes bye week, home, road, home, road, home, home, road.
Yeah, so the back and forth is not ideal.
No.
It's not great. I do
notably, Autzen Stadium easy to get to too.
Yeah, easy to get to.
National, regional airports hanging around.
The other people do have to travel also, so I don't want to discount that. I do think the Piscataway trip might be a little tricky, especially if they're coming off of a big Indiana win.
Yeah.
That one might be a little unusual, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly better than I'd rather have that than like Wisconsin's schedule,
right?
And to be Wisconsin,
but then you look at
look
at Penn State right now. Obviously, if the season ended, they would probably be in the college football playoff. But we're only 5 weeks in, so we got plenty of time to figure that out. They have cupcakes the next 2 weeks. They're on the road at UCLA, then they're at home against Northwestern. Then they travel to Iowa October 18th.
So that should be interesting.
They have a 3-game stretch that's pretty tough. So the 18th, they are at Iowa, a bye week. Then they are at Ohio State November 1st, and then they are at home against Indiana.
Yes.
Which, who knows? And I'll say this: I'm going to give Cignetti his flowers and everything to what they've done so far. That right now is a 7-8 matchup, Penn State, Indiana on November 8th. That game could be wildly different by the terms of like ratings and everything that we see when we get to that second weekend of November. It's going to be much different.
Yeah, because now I'm interested to see what Indiana's schedule looks like from here on out.
Not bad.
Thank you, Sig.
No, it actually isn't bad. It's pretty manageable. They've got that at Oregon game that you mentioned, then Michigan State. So we'll see how that is. UCLA, Maryland, at Penn State, Wisconsin, at Purdue. So they don't. I mean, that's pretty manageable.
How do they keep doing this?
I mean, it's the Kurt Signetti.
Did they opt out of the Ohio State games every year?
I think they opted into Big Ten Schedule B.
Next question.
Thank you. We'll take an extra helping of Purdue. Thank you. Yeah, we'll take that.
They opted into
Best season,
the Big Ten JV schedule. Rico, this is a good question. He says, "Hey, doing points for the QB draft. How many does a QB get for receiving touchdown?" I believe all touchdowns are worth the same. I believe so.
Rushing, receiving, catching.
Yeah, I mean, if throwing and rushing are the same, well, receiving are the same also, Rico.
Yeah.
So Daniel says we give too many people flowers. The medical florists are working their fingers to the bone. Let them rest, please.
Yeah, you're fair. I like TK too. It is a Husker football game day week once again.
We do have
new
Husker
boogeyman
football
playing like dog water. I haven't heard the term dog water since I was in as TK would like to say, a fraternity house a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dog water and your double wide do seem like they're in the same neighborhood in terms of.
I'm a double D guy, you know.
Do the people know that? Do the people know that you lived in a double wide trailer in college?
Did say it in my engagement video.
That thing went.
Is that I don't know if that's a thing that. So Austin.
Yeah, I bought a double wide trailer.
Listen, I like
sold that thing for cash.
I like the progressive thinking here instead of like, oh, I don't need the dorm life, right? Don't need to spend money on that with roommates and whatever. It's like, hey, buying a double wide.
Yeah, and it had 3 rooms. I charged the other 2 rooms. It's $250 rent. That was easy.
Oh,
I mean, we're talking like pre-inflation numbers. Like that was crazy.
$250 a room. Shoot.
$250 a room. Yeah, I was making $500 a month.
So you had 3 people living in your double wide.
Yeah.
How roomy was that?
It got tight at times.
Okay.
Yeah. The laundry room was not a laundry room at all. It's more of an escape hatch, if anything. Like it really wasn't much, but yeah, it was cozy. It was a good time. We had a couple of decent parties there. It was a good place.
Oh gosh, I can't imagine people crowded into a double wide. It's giving me like claustrophobia. Just
well,
thinking about it.
Me.
Here's the secret.
Did you spill out into the yard?
Well, no, we couldn't because then the neighbors would yell at us,
Ordinances.
so, yeah, you know.
Those HOAs kill you.
The HOA is an East Lawn trailer park. It's a little different out there. Yeah. That's actually the slogan of East Lawn. It's a little different out here.
Built different.
That was a good time. It was a good time. The possums lived under the trailer. It was the best. It was a good time.
Who are we having a conversation with?
Was it David? Are you talking with David?
Yeah, where he was like, it's better to have a homeless person living under your trailer than a possum. And I was like, absolutely not. What's wrong with you, David? What? Like that? I don't.
Because he said you could pick up possums and they just go.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah, allegedly.
You can't pick up homeless people by
No, you shouldn't either because they're people.
That is true. People forget.
They do forget. Coming up on the show today, we've got our
what a snake.
I had nowhere to go from there. Had to bail out. We've got our Monday regular, as TK mentioned. It is a Nebraska game week once again. So we'll talk to Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald regarding about the whole weekend and about Nebraska's upcoming.
Yeah, Sam
game.
was on his Twitter game Saturday. Did you see that?
I didn't.
He was
going
hard.
I wasn't like super tweety on the weekend.
Yeah,
I wasn't. Yeah, I was
pretty maintained.
I was watching a lot of games. I just wasn't. I didn't have a ton of feelings about them, so I was kind of keeping
just absorbing.
Yeah, I was just you got the 4 screen set up, so like there's a lot to take in. There's a lot of information. You can't really look down to do the Twitter fingers.
Be a sponge.
Well, especially you had the windows were so like them boys were thick, like with 2 C's. Like 230. The 4 screens wasn't even enough. I had to quad box one of the 4 squeens. One of the 4 squeens. I had to quad box one of the 4 screens.
Yes.
Because there were like 7 or 8 games that were watchable.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of manage which ones were big screens versus quad box. So that was a lot. And so there was no tweeting during that time period.
Yep.
And then the night window was pretty good too. I think we had like 3 because I was watching Iowa State, Arizona, and then I was watching obviously Penn State, Oregon, and Alabama, Georgia too. So we still have 3 good ones. Usually it's by the nighttime you got like maybe one good game.
Usually you can lock in on just one.
Yeah, so like during commercial breaks and there were no breaks for your boy.
Yeah.
It was an exhausting Saturday.
Did you like the tweet where they had the Alabama Georgia broadcast, and then underneath it they had the Ohio State Oregon broadcast, and they were like, Fox Sports hates America because Fox didn't have a night game on Saturday.
Come on, Fox Sports.
Come on, Fox.
Yeah, I listen. I know you like your big noon kickoff, but primetime. Well, there's nothing wrong with primetime, baby.
Yeah.
Coming up at 9, we're going to talk to Kevin Kugler, who does play-by-play for literally everything.
Yeah.
We were trying to just like, hey, what are we going to talk about with Kevin Kugler? It's like, well, he called Rams Colts yesterday.
Yep.
Shane's like, well, he also has called like several baseball games in the last couple of weeks for major leagues. He does college as well. So yeah, I'm mostly going to talk, I think, NFL with him, but we can take Kevin wherever we want to go.
Yeah.
He's a versatile man. He can do whatever. He can do it all. I wonder if he's going to do the Olympics coming up next year.
Ooh.
He's done.
What would you like to hear Kevin Kugler on?
He's done several.
Any of them?
He's done several Olympics in the past for Westwood 1.
It's winter, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, 26 will be winter. Not as big of a winter Olympics guy
bobsled?
myself.
I don't want to see bobsled.
I do love a bobsled.
I think I do want to hear him on bobsled.
I do. I love a good bobsled.
Yeah.
I was very influenced by the movie Cool Runnings as a child.
Okay.
All-time classic.
Yeah.
Jacob Padilla will join us at 9:40 or 9:45-ish, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Whenever he wants.
Yeah, whatever he feels like. It's Jacob's world. We're all just living in it. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
This September at Edwards Hyundai, lease the 2025 Hyundai Tucson SE all-wheel drive, starting at just $249 a month. Style, tech, and value that makes getting back to busy easier. Or upgrade to luxury SUV comfort with the 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe Calligraphy. Take $7,000 off MSRP on every remaining model in stock. Big savings, but only while they last. Back to busy means more Hyundai savings this September at Edwards. It pays to make the drive to Edwards Hyundai in Council Bluffs.
Yeah, I mean, passing broke down a little bit, and just thought we just got complacent. But yeah, I thought Campbell and Allie had a nice game today and came in and made a difference when they could, the ways that they can. It wasn't really about running a 6-2. It was about double sub. I think we're going to need that this year multiple times. I think we're going to need Allie. I think we're going to need Campbell. And I thought this was a great game to try that. It wasn't the intent to go 6-2, but I thought the opportunity presented itself, and then we wanted to stick with it and see if they could finish that second set off even though it was tight.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you, if you're on the roads this morning, make sure you got that seat belt fastened and make it click. It prevents injuries and saves lives, but only if worn properly. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Make it click. Not a sword. That's a seat belt.
That is a seatbelt.
Famously. I really thought, and I don't know if DB was just lying to me or not, I really thought although the seatbelt sort of makes sense when DBs do it because, okay, I'm locking you up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I thought it was a sword.
I always thought it was a sword, too. Because
in baseball, the sword is a thing where it's like when you kind of like make a guy flail at it, it's like, oh, it's a sword.
Yeah, right.
When you're a pitcher. So I just assumed they had taken it from baseball and thought it was cool looking. And they're like, oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Well, the way they do it, I don't use many seatbelts like this.
No, yeah, I don't.
I almost said something absurd. I almost said I'd never double hand a seatbelt, but I don't want to get that graphic this morning. It's a good thing I didn't say that.
Yeah, until you just did.
What?
Yeah, no, I've never taken a seatbelt. Like, to be fair, I've never used a sword either. So I don't have like a great frame of reference for the sword.
You're just taking a sword, you're just launching it into your side.
It's really like if it didn't happen in like Lord of the Rings or Gladiator, I don't know what is going on with swords there. So,
because usually you can see people be more emphatic with the sword out,
like bring it out, right? You don't. Get
I don't see many people that go like
dramatically, like I'm done here. I don't know. It's a good question. Hot Danger also brings up a good question. He goes, in the spirit of Cool Runnings.
Oh no.
So let me explain what the spirit of Cool Runnings is. If you're not familiar, I think you are. It seems like you know.
I should be. Yes.
So the idea between Cool Runnings is they took Jamaican sprinters and put them on bobsled.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Push because they thought they could push the sled faster, and and he says, in spirit of Cool Runnings, should college football teams recruit sumo wrestlers as linemen? Feels like an untapped market of huge dudes who can push people around. So, Hot Danger, I've actually thought a lot about this.
Oh no,
I have.
How much time?
Too much. Any time that I've devoted to this is too much.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect is in the skill sets, or if it's just not something that they're interested in. Obviously, sumo wrestling much larger in Asia than it is here.
Right.
So I don't know if it's just like, hey, they don't have an interest in football. Here's the other, because I've seen this video, right? It's gone around like TikTok and things like that, of Micah Parsons, one of the 40-40 tie last night. They like brought a sumo wrestler into the Cowboys locker room at some point, just like training camp funsies, I guess. I don't really know. Some people were like, hey, like some of the videos where they bring David Blaine in or whatever, and LeBron's like, and like makes LeBron faces.
Right.
David Blaine's freaking him out.
Well, it's because there's a camera there, but that's why.
There's always a camera around LeBron.
That's true.
But so like instead of that, apparently Jerry Jones was like, well, I can't afford that David Blaine. Let's get a sumo wrestler. And so,
actually, low-key good impression.
That was okay. To entertain the guys. And so, like, you see Micah Parsons trying to rush at this sumo wrestler, and like, dude does not move.
Well, that's how force works, right? Like, you got to exert enough to be able to push past.
So here's my question, though.
Yeah.
So these guys are very good with leverage.
Yeah. Great underrated feet on a sumo wrestler.
So here's
movement.
I was trying to figure out if the feet would be the limiting factor, right? You need quicker feet as a lineman than a lot of people think. Got to give them credit. They're good athletes up there. And I was trying to figure out, is it the movement that would be the problem, or what is the disconnect? Why wouldn't sumo wrestlers work?
I actually think like lateral movement wouldn't be too bad, because you see them, they can side shuffle and such, and I mean, not to be gross, but like they are pretty wide. So like, I mean, how far do they have to go? Like,
that's what I mean.
Can't run like wide 9 on that guy, because you can't go wide of 9, But
you have to go like wide 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Way out there.
We're playing sideline to sideline out here. The average weight of a sumo wrestler is 366 pounds as of January 2019, according to the AI overview on Google.com.
That's big enough.
That is huge.
I mean, especially if you're like playing like guard.
Yeah.
Where like maybe you don't need as much quickness.
Right.
I feel like sumo wrestlers could tear some people up as guards.
I also don't. There's like a misunderstanding too, I think, with offensive linemen, that they're just like the fat guys of the team. Like,
no, very strong and great feet.
One, very strong. Two, underrated. Like, most offensive linemen are actually really, really good athletes.
Yes.
They just happen to be able to put more weight on their body.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I don't know what the percentage number is, but there's a lot of offensive linemen from any rank of football that are great athletes, that actually, as soon as they don't have to have that weight on, they just shed that weight quickly.
Absolutely.
I mean, like one of the most famous centers in the world, Jason Kelsey, he's not supposed to be the weight that he was. Like he was playing just over a touch over 300 pounds his entire career. As soon as he retired, he lost like 30, 40 pounds. And that dude drinks beer every day. There's no way that he was just like keeping that weight on for fun, right? I had a good friend who was a UNK offensive lineman. He, his senior year, after being at UNK for 5 years and starting for 2 of them, he played his final year at 305 pounds and just got over 300 that last season. As soon as he graduated, he lost 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Because he just was like, I'm not eating as much. My body's not meant to.
I don't have to force feed myself to keep the weight on.
But great basketball player, can throw the ball like super well, like is actually like a really good athlete. Like I think he did the shot like at Creighton Prep. Like, most of these guys are great athletes. Sumo wrestlers, they're huge. They're big dudes. So if you just want like wide bodies and you're like, we're not moving downfield, you just got to get by us. Your pass protection is probably a lot better.
I don't know. I mean, if you did the tush push all the way down the field with a bunch of sumo guys on the line, you're probably gonna make it.
I was thinking them more as run blockers. Like I think you could road grade with those
I think it's the opposite. I don't know if they have the strength moving forward, right? I think maybe they are just an impenetrable wall that you can't get through.
Also possible.
Yeah.
I probably don't know enough about sumo wrestling to fully get into it. Well, I will say, I think sumo wrestlers are also much better athletes than we think.
Oh, whoa. Sumo wrestling's not that great. Do you know what the average salary of a sumo wrestler is? This is monthly. Never mind. $26,000 a month, actually. So it's actually a lot better. Yeah, it's actually better. I thought it was per year. When you think salary, you don't put it per month. I mean, who does that?
So what is that? That gets you north of 250 grand, right?
It's pretty good.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Maybe I should take it up. KCS says sumo wrestlers are treated so well in Japan, I don't think they'd want to lower their quality of life for becoming college football players. I'm just saying, if Coach Rule is right and he's like, offensive lineman costs about $1 million coming out the portal, like, I don't know, might be worth it.
Yeah,
might be worth it. I don't know.
That would be interesting.
I'm just wondering. Stephen Young says, as a member of the O-line fraternity, we are also well known for being pretty smart. True, you have to be pretty smart as a lineman.
That is true.
You know, and you got to be a good athlete like Caden Proctor.
That was insane. That was crazy. Well, because at first, so you watched it live, I assume?
Yes.
When that play was like opening up its development, because they did a bunch of like shift changes, right? Like
motions,
everyone kind of moved out. I kind of forgot where he went, and you saw him like move out, and I thought he actually just kind of subbed out of the game because you see a big body leaving. And at first I was like, that's just their tight end or whatever. Then they threw the ball, and you hear Fowler just go, is that Proctor?
I assumed, because listen, there's been you know me, I'm a big Mike Leach guy.
Yeah.
There's been different versions of where they'd do like split lines and they'd put, you'd have guard, center, guard in the traditional spots, but then he'd split, like a tight end and a tackle out way wide each. And then he'd have a wide receiver basically have like a screen and then those two guys would go block.
Actually, 8-man football is funnest.
I assumed, which we'll find out at some point. We got to take our 8-man road trip. I assumed that that's what was happening with Caden Proctor, that they were using him as a lead blocker way out. I was like, oh, that's fun, whatever.
Right.
And they're like, no, big man's getting the rock.
Yeah.
And he almost scored.
Yeah.
Like,
he should have scored.
He almost scored.
Now, that's obviously I'm not a college football defender, but it is one of those things, too, that like the mentality that you have to have as a defensive guy when you're like, your coach is just screaming at you, you got to tackle the ball carrier. No ball carrier looks like that guy, right?
No.
You choose many times in business decisions or whatever your choice is, like in life, you have, they always call it like split-second decisions and whatnot. You had plenty of time to gather enough information to go, how much am I willing to sacrifice my body to get this man on the ground before he crosses the end zone?
So here's the other thing that I think is worth thinking about here. So, we've talked a lot about sumo wrestlers being offensive linemen. Here's the thing that I sometimes have a hard time figuring out.
Okay.
It's really, really hard to tackle Caden Proctor, right?
Sorry. The other Dave, Honda in Street Fighter 2 would be great at tackle, but I'd worry about holding calls.
Fair.
That's funny.
Yeah, like this, and Hot Danger brings up a good point. Cody Hawkins made a bad business decision against Sue, famously.
Right, yeah.
So here's my question. It's really, really hard to tackle those guys.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that are on like the higher end athleticism. Like Sue at 300 pounds, one of the best athletes I've ever seen. Caden Proctor at like 6'7", 350 or 60, whatever that dude's weighing. Really good athlete, right? Like maybe they should get the ball more. I remember. So this is a weird example. I remember when I was in like 8th grade. We played this kid from like Russell Middle School or somewhere, which I think feeds to Millard South or Millard West. And they had I think he had, I mean, he looked like he weighed 300 pounds. In 8th grade, he was probably like 230 or something, right? But he was lineman size. He ended up playing lineman in college, like big dude. Might have been like 250. They just ran him up the middle. Like impossible to tackle.
Yeah, it's like you're playing like, 8-year-old tackle football for the first time.
It's like watching Derrick Henry against anyone like in high school.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's basically what it was. He was playing in this little high school against 140-pound guys. He was 260 pounds, whatever he was. Like, what? Are we sure that's not going to work?
I'm trying to remember. I think his name was like Christian Ellsworth. I think he was the Grand Island Northwest quarterback.
Yeah.
We were playing him when I was in Sydney back in the old high school days, right? And our coach, Todd Eckert, he had told me, he was like, Jacobsen, you're not good at tackling. But what you are good at
is tripping people.
Yes. So he taught us the technique of, he was like, you see these guys, and he was mentioning all of Northwest. He was like, these guys are top heavy. They're going to run by you, but they can't move like laterally. So he was like, take them out like where you can.
Were you doing the ankle swipes?
Yes. So that's where we learned, where you dive and you just swipe at an ankle and you pray that they stumble upon themselves and trip and fall. We won the game. Boy, did we give up some yards. It was tough.
That's what we call the kicker tackle.
Yes.
That's the punter tackle, where he's like, for dear life, just swipe at that ankle and hope you get it.
There were plenty of plays of me trailing someone, and I would just dive and swipe at an ankle, just hoping to clip something, just hoping, praying that I would get anything.
Listen, in the box score, it goes down as a solo tackle.
It does.
Solo tackle, baby. I'm just saying, I'm like, you see Caden Proctor, you see, and I'm just like, I'm wondering.
Well, I mean, like Lane Johnson could do that. I mean, he's a little older now, but like,
back
been doing that a while back.
Was it with the Eagles when he was doing that? I'm just saying, like, maybe big guys should get the ball a little bit more.
I mean, you're a 49 guy, like Trent Williams. I mean, that guy could probably run for 1,000 yards if we gave him enough opportunity.
Like 10 years ago, maybe. He can barely stay healthy.
Great
athlete.
But
he's getting up there. He's getting a little long in the
notably injured. Yeah.
Oft injured. Trent Williams is how that's his official name now.
Yeah.
Ever since he signed the extension after not working out all offseason, we've dubbed him oft injured Trent Williams.
So what do you want? You want Dylan to line up under center? Just go bubble route, Rocco?
I'm just I don't know if Rocco would be the one that I went to.
Yeah, who would you pick?
On the Nebraska offensive line.
I mean, to be fair, Luke Lindmeier's kind of that size.
Yeah, no,
like we already got a guy like that.
100%. And you know how hard it is to tackle Luke Lindmeier?
Yeah.
It has been a struggle for everyone who's tried.
Do you push like Justin Evans? You just put him at center?
No, I want to.
You put him at quarterback and you put him like behind Sam Sledge?
I want to push Luke Lindmeier.
I'm for that.
I'm
100% for that.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
like,
I'm all the way for that.
This is kind of my point, though. I also saw this clip of a high school team. I didn't do much research on it, but it was a TikTok where these, like, the quarterback and running back both weighed like north of 270.
Oh, I've seen this. Yes, yeah.
And they were just like big boys, and they're just trucking people. And I'm like, kind of seems like it works. Like, I'm no football genius here, but yeah, like Cam Jurgens would have been a great example.
Cam Jurgens would have been fun. Notable tight end.
Yeah, it was tight end coming out, and then ended up, like you said, was a put the weight on guy.
Little Dave says Keona Davis at running back.
100%. 100%.
I want a new.
Did you see how fast Williams Nwaneri was moving?
Okay. You could run speed option with him. You'd be totally fine. You'd have no issue. That'd be awesome.
Give me a little Keona Davis at fullback or something. Like, let's go.
Can we get a bully backfield? Like we saw
big ass Ty Robinson back there.
We need a bully backfield where it's like you got Elijah, you got all these guys back there, and I want Nwaneri like running point. Like I want him to be like, no, I've got full discretion of what I'm doing back here.
I want Keona Davis lead blocking for Williams Nwaneri. That's what I would like.
To be fair, too, if that's your goal line package, like Williams is long enough, like
he
could just stick the ball out
from like the 4-yard line. I scored.
I don't think it's a bad idea. We're all full of. Listen, we had a full bye week to get all these ideas out. That's what
happens when we got a Nebraska bye week. I start thinking, and I'm like, sumo wrestlers at line. Although that was Hot Danger's idea, and then I was like, wait a second, what if we let big guys get the ball more?
Wyatt.
I'm just gonna skip that one.
Oh no!
Apparently, Rico is breaking news for us here. He says EA just sold to the Saudi Arabia Public Fund for $55 billion. I'm assuming he means EA Sports. Is that what I don't?
Yeah.
Rico, can we clarify
Sold
here?
to Saudi Arabia Public Fund for $55 billion. Hey, good for them.
I believe it's called the Sovereign Fund, but that's okay. It's whatever.
Make a buck if you can. William says, all jokes aside, they definitely need a heavy goal line package.
Listen,
Yeah, that's what we're arguing.
I'm here
That's
for
what we're
it.
saying.
Yeah, like maybe give Keanu Davis the rock.
Yeah. We know Dana's listening.
Maybe give Keanu.
We know Matt's listening.
Maybe give Keanu Davis the rock. Husker Dahmer said Jared Crick played quarterback in high school. That's what I mean. Like,
I thought he was a fullback. You were like 34.
I don't know.
You weren't at Cozad at the time?
I was not consuming a lot of Cozad ball at the time. That's
fair.
it was a transportation issue. I couldn't get out there.
Oh, yes. Okay, fair.
Didn't have a super
Middle North never played like a true neutral site contest with Cozad?
They did not. No. We did get out to North Platte though.
That's basically the same thing.
We had I think that's the farthest we went.
You passed Cozad to go to North Platte, which is still crazy.
Yeah, I think the North Platte was the furthest road trip that we had.
Maybe that's how we fix all the NSA issues everyone has problems with. We like regulate teams. You don't compete well enough, like you just move up the class.
Oh, relegate?
Yeah, relegate.
Not regulate. That's a different thing.
Regulators?
that's
relegate.
That's a different thing.
The L's and the G's, you can just rotate them. It doesn't matter where they go.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure that's fine.
It's just English.
Jack says you need to go to the presser and bring all this up to Rule. I mean, listen.
Coach Rule, I've got two-part question.
Number one, have you ever considered recruiting sumo wrestlers?
No.
Fair enough. Number two, have you ever thought about getting the big guys the ball more?
Nah.
Oh. That's tough.
What the best part about that, though,
that's tough.
is Rule would go on like a 5-minute soliloquy about it, though.
He'd be like,
well, the reason we don't is because, I would love to see Williams get the ball more. I'd love to see that.
What he would probably do is he'd go on a tangent about how good of athletes they are, and which is fair. He'd be like, really, it comes down to just reps and ball security.
Yep.
It's not that they couldn't hold the ball.
Yeah,
we need them to do other stuff. Like, that's fair, coach. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Phantom Husker, giving me some hope for my Miller North Mustangs. He says, Ravi, Miller North Middle has some dudes on their team. Endless Class A titles for the Mustangs coming soon.
Endless.
Hope you're right, Phantom Husker.
Endless.
Hope you're right, baby.
All right.
Hot Danger says Jay Moore, Class B leading rusher at running back for Elkhorn.
Hot Danger just naming dudes right now.
Dude, Jay Moore was a monster in high school. I remember Jay Moore in high school because Elkhorn was close enough I could actually get out there.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I had some friends who went to Elkhorn,
right.
But Jay Moore was a dude. Certified dude. Coming up next, another certified dude, Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Back to busy feels better in the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo L. Right now, get 0% financing for 60 months. More space, more style, and more savings at Edwards CDJR Council Bluffs. Or get the muscle you need for busy days in the 2025 Ram 1500. Built strong. Now with 0% financing for 72 months during the Drive into Fall sales event. The Back to Busy Drive into Fall sales event. Only at Edwards CDJR Council Bluffs. To Edwards CDJR and Council Bluffs.
You mentioned kind of the growth of the franchise in general over the next few years. I think that's something a lot of people are really excited about. As you in your position sit here and you go, okay, there's some things I have a really good grasp on. Mm-hmm. There's some things that I'm going to need some help on. How do you, as you kind of start mapping out, as I'm sure you and Gary and Jamie and Marty, everybody are mapping this out over the next 3, 5, 10 years, whatever that looks like. What's the thing you're most excited about the both, I guess, immediate and long-term growth of the club?
Immediately, I would say, there's so much opportunity for people within our organization. So I think I've got 4 or 6 job postings right now in Teamworks. Mm-hmm. So we're just continuing to try and build out, our operations, our sales, our everything that supports the organization as a whole.
motivations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Here is the sports editor for the Omaha World Herald, Sam McKewon.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Sam McKewon.
We're gonna throw the ball, and you just stand back there and throw it where you want to go. That kind of thing.
Sam McKewon.
Are you guys going? Sure.
Now, Sam McKewon.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, how you doing this morning?
I'm okay. I wanted to extend my condolences to the Hurrdat Sports family, and after the loss of Urs last week. Very sorry to you, Ravi, and to Damon, and to everybody. It was a hard week for the media community for sure, and so sorry. Obviously, a very sudden loss for a lot of people who loved him, and will continue to. So I enjoyed listening to him a great deal in his various shows and guest spots over the years. So he will be missed, and I thought, Ravi, your tribute last week was really wonderful, and I'm sure what was a very hard day.
Oh, thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a weird weekend for sure, and last 24 hours, or not, I guess 72 hours now. It's but definitely appreciate that, Sam. And I know a lot of people cared and loved Vers, and it was honestly just really cool to see the outpouring of different stories from all across the state, really, of people who knew and loved and appreciated him. So I appreciate you saying that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he touched a lot of different levels of the sport and a lot of different levels of the media community. So he was rare in that way, that so many different people knew and loved him, and that was certainly a shock last week, and he will be remembered a long time.
That is, I don't have a good transition there, but that is kind of one of the cool things about kind of the Nebraska football community is, that power that it has to kind of connect people. I know most people, knew him from either radio spots now or whatever, but all that starts back when he's a football player for Nebraska and making the connections with guys like DB and everything like that. So it was also kind of a reminder of sort of the power that this, as we go week to week and we shift our focus to Michigan State and we're like, well, what happened against Michigan and what's it going to look like? It is kind of a reminder of sort of the macro importance of the program and what it means to the state outside of the individual wins and losses.
Yeah, no question. I'm a small part of that culture, and it's a big deal, and yeah.
Sam, speaking on just general college football there, I was surprised you were kind of all on your tweet game then Saturday. You were all in on some of those games watching. Did you have a favorite that you were able to tune into any part of that day?
Oh, there's a bunch of games I'm watching on multiple screens. I don't know. I mean, I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of the NFL, so I'm watching the entire game last night, although those might be the two teams I hate the most.
So you loved a tie then. That was like your favorite outcome.
It was. So it was perfect. I'm like, if I'm going to stay up this late, it better be a tie.
You were the one guy in America rooting for the tie. Did you stand up and fist pump as the final kick went through?
No, I mean, I just don't like either team, and I don't want to see either one of them really have success. Anyway, so on the college games on Saturday night, obviously the Penn State Oregon game was notable. Oregon's a better football team than Penn State. That was proven. I thought Oregon took its foot off the gas a little bit toward the end and almost lost, but Oregon's a better team. Alabama's a better team than Georgia. I don't know that Georgia's a bad team. I think they've got a ways to go on defense, though, and they all kind of know that. And, the USC-Illinois game was intriguing because Nebraska's going to have to play them. I don't really feel any different about Nebraska's game with USC. I think it's going to be a hard-as-hell game to win, but I think Nebraska can win it. The thing that you saw, and this is more true of Illinois than it is Nebraska, although it took Illinois a couple of weeks to figure it out. USC really struggled to get off blocks in that game. And so Illinois was able to engage USC and was able to stay on blocks. Those are things that were not happening against Indiana. Indiana was much more aggressive at the line of scrimmage and made life much harder for Illinois. And USC just doesn't have the same level of physicality. Some of that's because they got a lot of transfers on their defensive side of the ball. But so there was that. Iowa obviously, almost beat Indiana. That didn't surprise me that they almost did, but Iowa's, kind of who they are every year. So I watch a lot of Nebraska's future opponents. Honestly, there's not a game that Nebraska can't win going down the stretch, including the game at Penn State. Penn State is not. They're a good team. I have not seen a team on the field that I think is better than Michigan. I don't. And now, granted, you got to go out there, but you're going out there in late November, and you really don't know what the weather's going to be like, and you don't know what their record's going to be. And that fan base, I think, is so hungry to be great, or as James Franklin says, elite, that if Penn State has 2 or 3 losses, which they might have, their fan base may actually not be very engaged in that game. I think they've been very underwhelming to start the season, including in some of the throwaway games that they played at the beginning of the year. Nebraska played much better than Penn State in some of those games. And so I still have Penn State in the top 10, but some of that's based on the quality of their defensive play and coming back against Oregon, which I tip my cap to them doing. But yeah, it's a striking league. Nebraska avoids the 3 best teams. They do. Ohio State and Oregon and Indiana are the 3 best teams. I don't think it's all that much of a debate. And Nebraska is not going to have to play it. So, and Michigan might be the 4th best team. Right now I have Penn State at 4, but it could end up being Michigan. So, I think on the way out here, Nebraska's got a really good chance of finishing well if they execute.
Sam, you had 2 things there that I really want to talk about. I'm going to start with Penn State there because it sounds like you thought the same thing. I came out of the last couple weeks having watched Penn State pretty closely as thinking Nebraska's got a better shot against Penn State than I thought going into the season. Not just because maybe Penn State isn't who I thought they were, but also if I look at the teams that or the team specifically in Michigan and to lesser extent Sorsby at Cincinnati that gave Nebraska trouble, Drew Aller is 100% not that type of quarterback, which made me feel quite a bit better about the matchup.
That's a good point. I mean, I think their offensive coordinator needs a running quarterback. He needs a mobile quarterback to do some of the things that they want to do, and that's just not really who Drew Aller is. I thought BTN analyst Jake Butt made a really good point on Twitter last week when he said, I would have loved to have seen Drew Aller in Michigan's offense. And I think that's a hell of a good point. I think Drew Aller is kind of a Joe Flacco, Justin Herbert kind of player. And he's in an offense really suited for Jalen Daniels, who's at Kansas and was the coordinator's previous quarterback. And so they a shotgun run game, is probably not the best way to go. They haven't done a lot of pistol, and they've run the ball well. I understand that last year, but it seems like defenses have caught up. And the one thing you can always count on is defenses will catch up to a coordinator a year after they've kind of put all their stuff in place. The Big Ten caught up to Tony White a little bit in year 2, and they will catch up to Andy out there. So I think that's part of it. I think, their receivers aren't getting the football. They don't seem to have a system that gets those guys the ball quickly. It's a big play offense. They haven't been able to hit a lot of big plays. Oregon got Dante Moore in a rhythm. I thought they were a little conservative, but they got him in a rhythm. And then later in the game, he was able to make some plays off schedule to get Oregon going. But I don't see a team that's totally locked in. And then on defense, they're very, very good. But they took on some water against Oregon. Oregon was more physical and really took it to them in a number of circumstances. And by the end of the season, I think Penn State's defense will probably be pretty beat up. And I have never been, anytime Nebraska's played Penn State, and I think Penn State's been the more talented team all but 2 of those times. So in 2011 and 2012, I think Nebraska's probably the better team. Nebraska won both those games. I've never been blown away by Penn State, not once. Even with Saquon. Saquon was a great player, and they won the game 56-44. But Nebraska was throwing the ball all over the yard. And Nebraska can hang with that team. That team is well coached. And they've got some skill players that are unique and good, but I've never thought Penn State was out of Nebraska's reach the way at times I felt like Ohio State was out of their reach or whatever Indiana was on last year. And I still think Indiana would beat Nebraska this year by, a touchdown or 2. So, I think Nebraska can go out there and play. Now, again, so much of what Nebraska does is based on what Nebraska does. Like they have to play their very best, and they have to play physically, and they also have to come up with some answers on offense that do not put Dylan Raiola in the position of throwing it 50 times a game. 35 times is ideal. 30 to 35. This whole we're going to throw the ball 44 times. You're putting your quarterback, if you're dropping him back 50 times, which is what he dropped back against Michigan, that's just too much. You're putting your quarterback in some harm's way. You're not Washington State. You're not Mike Leach in the Big 12 or in the Pac-12. These Big Ten defenses will get you if you drop back 50 times. So they're going to have to find a way to run it just a little bit better going forward so they don't put him in a position where he's dropping back that often.
Sam, now that we're into the heart of Big Ten scheduling and everything, how have you reevaluated what you had originally thought maybe from the preseason of this next 8-game stretch for Nebraska, either from what you've seen from the Huskers or what you've seen from kind of that Big Ten slate?
I think Penn State's become a more manageable game. I had Penn State preseason number 1. They weren't that. They haven't been that all season, but that game's gotten easier. I think USC is still pretty much what I thought it was going to be. Converse to Penn State, I think USC is actually a hard matchup for Nebraska. They're hard. Their run game is going to be challenging for Nebraska to deal with. Their quarterback is a little bit more mobile. They just present some challenges to Nebraska that I think Nebraska is going to have to chew on a little bit as they get closer to that game. The team that's probably better than I thought they would be is Maryland. Their defense is good and legit. They play Washington this weekend at home. We'll see how that goes. I had Maryland losing to Wisconsin and Washington. Well, if they win both those games, they're going to go into Nebraska 5-0, and they might even have 30,000 people at the stadium. Who knows? So, that game's gotten a little harder. Not much else has changed. I do think that the challenge this weekend against Michigan State is Michigan State's got an electric quarterback. who's very athletic and very capable of hitting a couple of dots early, and like all of a sudden you're down 14-0. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that this quarterback's got the ability that if you're not paying attention early and you bring a blitz and he gets out of it and he finds a guy open and that guy breaks a tackle and it's a touchdown, the game can get loose early or late. You know, you're up 24-13 and all of a sudden, boom, he makes a play. You cannot let this guy beat you with that one incredible play because he has it in him. And so Nebraska has to be very smart about how they defend him, keeping him in the pocket. I don't think this is a game where you have to worry about Michigan State bleeding Nebraska with like 4-yard runs and a bunch of little cuts. They're going to have to hit big plays, and Nebraska's got to prevent that from happening.
Talking with Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, as we kind of come out of the bye week and look towards at least this next, I kind of break it up in another 4-game stretch, right? You know, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, as I would say the most manageable part of their Big Ten schedule, even though, as you mentioned, Maryland's a little bit better, quite a bit better than we probably thought. Michigan State off to a good start as well. As you look towards Michigan State in particular and more in general, this 4-game stretch, what differences do you think we'll see from the first 4-game stretch, whether that's personnel decisions or kind of stylistic choices like you were talking about, maybe not dropping Dylan back so much? Like, what are some of the things you think we might see in the next month or so?
I think you're going to see some conversation around the run game, specifically who the number 2 running back is, right? So you have to figure that out. You've got to have a second option. And I don't mean a second option that comes in as part of a 2-back set that only has 6 plays attached to it, but a guy that can come in and make plays and is just a running back. And Emmett Johnson can take a drive off or something. So the conversation around that, how do you run the football? Are you doing the things in practice that you need to do to prepare your defense for playing those kinds of power offenses? Not going to face a lot of them, but are you doing those things? Continue to come along with the pass rush. The pass rush has affected the quarterback. It hasn't necessarily got him to the ground a lot. And this is a game where, again, you can get this guy to the ground. He will take a sack or two that's bad because he's going to hold on to it and try to make a play, but you got to get him down. And otherwise he's going to beat you. So pass rush, I think, has to get better. Kickoff return needs to be tweaked. And I think you're going to see that tweaked. I think if they've got to go to Isaiah Mosey on kick return and just let him return the ball, then let him return the ball. I understand the idea Eckler has behind trying to use guys that maybe don't start or whatever. But the guy they had missed a couple holes, and so you can't do that. So a little bit of tweak there. Defensively, the structure of the run defense. I don't know that Michigan State or Maryland is going to test Nebraska in that way, the way Michigan did, but I do expect Michigan State to try to run the football, and they're going to run it. So the offense they run is Mike Riley's offense. So if people remember what Mike Riley did on the run game, that's what Jonathan Smith's doing, basically to a T. It's basically the same system. It's a great system. The offense they ran here in Nebraska was good. Structurally, ideologically, it was good. It was very good. Very diverse play set, do a lot of stuff, window dressing, throwback throws, all kinds of stuff. But when they run the ball, they will try to run like short, quick zones where they'll hand it off and they'll try to get 3 or 4. They do have some gap plays in there. So they got all the stuff in their package. They don't necessarily get to it because they get off that pretty fast and they try throwing the ball around. And they can do that too. This is the best group of receivers Nebraska's probably faced this week. They're good. Now, Cincinnati's have turned out to be pretty good, although they're in the Big 12. But this is probably the best group. This is a better group than Michigan. This group is good. And this quarterback, again, Aidan Chiles, I don't know if he's going to be an NFL guy or not. He might be, but you cannot let him beat you. And he's one of those guys that can. So they'll have to be smart about it.
Sam, when it comes down to this, I know you mentioned all of the offensive weapons, everything that comes with Michigan State, but is it as simple that if this game is close, it came down to Dylan Raiola versus Aidan Chiles and just kind of a quarterback duel?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I think Nebraska's going to have a lot of success throwing the ball. Michigan State has no pass rush to speak of. Maybe they've figured that out in a week, but this is not Michigan at all. I mean, their pass rush is almost non-existent, and so I think Dylan's going to have a lot of time. Michigan State will have to decide how they want to cover Nebraska. My guess is they will do the Cincinnati, and they will try to let Nebraska kind of matriculate the ball downfield without hitting a bunch of big plays. So I don't know what Michigan State's answer is going to be on defense. They've struggled so far this season. So I think Nebraska is the better team. That's why they're an 8-point favorite. And I think they were, so they're 8 points, and it may go up to 10. Again, I think Nebraska will move the football. This is a game that I think Nebraska expects to win and should win, but they've had games like that before. So it could be a quarterback duel. I sure would like to think that Nebraska can shut Chiles down enough to where the thing goes in the fourth quarter, and they're going to have to pull some miracles. The one caveat I say to that, as I said before, don't get behind early. Don't let this guy hit one or two of these throws. He's got the whole toolkit. I mean, he threw a ball against USC. I haven't seen anybody throw him this year. So he's got the whole thing, and if you let him get loose or you let him get a guy open deep, he will hit it. So now, mind you, Nebraska's pass defense is the best in the country, way better than USC's. So I think Nebraska will be okay.
Sam, I want to go back to National College Football here for a minute, because there was a couple things we were talking about over the results this weekend that just kind of got me thinking. One is a Big Ten question, and half of it is not related. But from this weekend, which results do you think invalidated a previous result more? Indiana and Iowa and USC and Illinois. Do you think that invalidated the Indiana-Illinois score more? Or do you think Alabama and Florida State's results this weekend invalidate that week one score more?
That's an interesting question. I suspect that Florida State is about an 8-4 or 9-3 team. That's my hunch. That doesn't mean they're a bad team, and it doesn't mean they didn't deserve to beat Alabama. They won that game straight away. My sense is Florida State's going to go 9-3, 8-4. So I guess that one, because
they're not really
Alabama's
a top 10 team. Yeah,
I think Alabama's better.
Yeah.
than the way they played against Florida State. I think what I think got them against Florida State was that quarterback. And they weren't ready for a running quarterback. And to go back and watch that game, they just really struggled to contain him, and they just weren't dialed in. I think they went into that game thinking Florida State sucked the year before and they wouldn't be as good as they were. And so I think that one. The other one, Indiana just did some things against Illinois that I actually don't think USC is capable of doing. USC finds ways to shoot themselves in the foot, and then their defense is just not, what Illinois did against USC is they ran the ball, and they were able to kind of keep possession of the ball and run it a lot, and then throw off of that. And a lot of that's USC just not getting off line and playing early, right? Playing body clock. So playing at 9 a.m. and all that stuff, and they just didn't get off blocks. And so some weeks you don't get it done. And Illinois had one of those weeks at Indiana. The difference is Indiana will pour it on you. And that's exactly what happened. Obviously, I was not surprised that Iowa took Indiana to the wire. Iowa's a very well coached team, and they have a very good understanding of how to win games, especially at home. The one surprise for me is they ran kind of a zero blitz at midfield that I thought was unnecessary, and it burned them, and they lost the game because of it. I think if that thing goes in overtime, it's anybody's ball game, and I was surprised that I felt maybe Iowa felt like they had to do that in order to kind of flip the field position, but it was an overly risky call, and it burned them, and as a result, they lost. But Iowa's Iowa. They're gonna do the same stuff they've been doing. 7-5, 8-4. That's who they are, and that's what they are. And they're a hard out. But Indiana was able to beat them.
That's Sam McKewon for Omaha World Herald. Sam, appreciate the time as always, and enjoy being back on a game week.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks,
That's Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald. Yeah, I don't know why I thought about it in those terms with those, I guess, 4 teams in particular, right? But
I like the way you phrased it, too, when you said, like, it invalidates, like, previous outcomes, too, because, I mean, if you remember, like, last year at this time, USC, still with Miller Moss, by the way, was coming off an LSU season opening win. Then they lost that game, like, late at Michigan, and people were still like, oh, this is a college football team. They ended 6-6.
Yeah.
Right. And so where is that team now, like lurking in some of the, like, especially in the Big Ten conference, when you're looking at, okay, where do we need to go? Like, what are we looking at in top 25? Like what was a game that we definitely like overhyped from the first 4 weeks that doesn't mean as much now?
Well, I wondered this about LSU as well, right?
Yeah.
I think I asked, I can't remember who we talked to last week that I asked about it, but LSU had wins over Florida and then somebody else that has appeared to be bad now. And I can't remember.
Clemson.
And Clemson, right? And so I sit here and I go, okay, is LSU actually good?
Yeah.
And then they go into Ole Miss and they lose against Ole Miss. And listen, Ole Miss is pretty good, so I don't want to invalidate that. But you sit here and you go, okay, maybe that's a team that isn't who we thought they were because these other teams aren't who we thought they were, right? Florida State, I think Florida State is the answer from the example I gave because, I think Alabama was better than we thought.
Yeah.
And I think Florida State's probably better than we thought, but not as good as we thought after that game. Better than we thought going into it, not as good as we thought coming out of it.
Well,
right?
it's this transitor's property because I had no expectation for Virginia, but now Virginia is better than what I thought they were. But is that just because they beat a top 25 team in Florida State?
A top 10 team.
A top 10 team
in Florida State.
Because, they upset a team like Florida State. Does that mean Virginia is good now and Florida State is bad? Or is there somewhere in the middle where both the teams are actually probably about the same? There's a lot of different ways to shake it out.
I think Virginia's probably a little better than we thought, and Florida State's still a little worse than we thought. Right?
Yeah.
Like Florida State's probably a top 20.
Worse than we thought
after Alabama. Not worse than we thought before the season.
Yes.
Florida State's probably a top 15 to 20 team.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a top 10, top 8 team the way they were coming in. I think Virginia, probably a bowl team in the ACC. Anytime you play a team that's going to be bowl eligible in your conference and you're not one of the upper echelon, that's a team that you can lose to, especially on the road, right? That was a crazy environment. That was one of the weirdest field stormings I've ever seen in my life.
I thought it was the best.
No, I mean, it was really cool.
Other than the Florida State receiver literally got enveloped in a sea of students.
Yeah,
he might still be there.
Laying on the ground still. That was, but the visual of it was incredible. But I was like, oh, is that guy's not, he's not getting up for a while. So that's a little scary, right? But no, it's I think it's sort of the same way I feel about Cincinnati, right? A lot of Nebraska fans didn't feel great about the way the Cincinnati game went down. Now we look at it, we go, oh, Cincinnati might be pretty good. They're 3-1. They just beat Kansas. Sorsby has thrown for 300 yards on just about everybody else.
And I understand everybody wants to, and they have beaten up and they've had some pretty good passing attacks against past teams, but Kansas' defensive backfield is paper thin.
Yeah.
There's that part too.
For sure. But that's, again, a power conference team that is probably going to be in a bowl game in Kansas. That's probably somewhere between a 6-8 win team, which I think is what Cincinnati is. They're probably between a 6-8 win team as well. But if you had known at the time that Cincinnati was going to say win, I'll split the difference, call it 7 wins.
Right.
You feel differently, I think. We would all probably feel differently about the win Nebraska got. You're like, hey, that's a power conference bowl team to start the season, a game that Nebraska has not won frequently in the past. You look at it, you go, okay, that's a good win.
Yep.
Instead of coming out and be like, that's Cincinnati. They were, they're 5-7 a couple years in a row.
Yep. You
don't necessarily love it, but I think that's a better Cincinnati team than we thought.
And some projected them to be last in the Big 12.
Yeah. So
I mean, a season opening win against a team that either is projected to be last in their conference or ends last are two different conversations, right? 100%. They can end up being the same, but where we see Cincinnati right now is not where Cincinnati is at their current, state, right? Because at the time, we didn't know what Cincinnati was going to be. And I said that right away. As soon as that game went final, I was like, you have no idea what Cincinnati is going to end up being. And it's the lamest conversation to have, but it is true because we didn't know. We had an idea of what Nebraska could be. We had no clue what Cincinnati could be.
Absolutely.
And they're proving to be something than what we had probably previously assumed them to be.
Yeah, I think they're better than we thought going in. And I also I think this whole thing kind of started last week when I think you just kind of have to throw out some of the results against Indiana because Cignetti is willing to pour it on. It does seem like it can snowball on you really quick. I mean, we saw it last year with Nebraska, right? They get absolutely boat raced by Indiana, and then they're beating Ohio State for 3.5 quarters, right?
Yep.
And so that was sort of my thought process this week is about, invalidating results. I don't mean as part of the record. They count, obviously, like it goes on the record. It's final. If they beat them fair and square by a billion, I get it. I just mean in terms of projecting who we think teams are. Sometimes I do think you have to throw out the Indiana score and be like, I don't think Illinois is as bad as they were against Indiana, and I don't know that Indiana is as good as they were against Illinois.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw both of those things play out to be accurate. Now, obviously, Iowa ended up losing against Indiana, but I mean that's an Iowa-led or tied ball game for a good chunk of that thing.
Yeah.
And same thing with Illinois. Illinois comes back, they're like, yeah, we're still pretty good. We're going to go out and beat USC, who's a top 25 team. However you feel about the way USC plays, I do think they are about a top 25 team.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a reasonably accurate perception of who they are.
Speaking of how you feel, I do have fan base pulse check if you want to play a little game.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
Then we'll do fan base pulse check. I've got one for you too.
Oh, I can't wait.
I've got one for you too.
I love when we play games both ways.
That's Austin. That's Austin.
I'm just trying to see if I can catch you on something today.
Absolutely not.
I'm trying to see if you're awake. You're ready.
Well, I am awake. What you can catch me on is in a little over a week. It'll be Wear Black, Give Back, which is UNO's 6th annual Giving Day. Go to givingday.unomaha.edu starting on October 8th at noon, and it'll go for 24 hours. They raised almost $1 million last year. They're looking for 6,500 individual gifts this year to support scholarships, colleges, athletics, student assistance, research, and more. And for every $75 gift, you will get a Wear Black, Give Back UNO belt bag as well.
Ooh.
So make sure you get to givingday.unomaha.edu. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Live.
Back to busy means Chevy savings this September at Edwards GMC. Lease the 2025 Chevrolet Silverado LT Crew Cab 4x4 starting at just $579 a month with $0 down. Power, style, and big savings at Edwards. Or step into the 2026 Chevrolet Equinox LT all-wheel drive, lease starting at $359 a month with just $1,000 due at second. It pays to make the drive to Edwards Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac.
What was probably the one-on-one blocking, to be honest. I think in the Husker gym, we're so used to, we have really good help in our gym. So Maryland, we just abuse the solo block.
Yeah, I think when you have a team like Maryland, who we identified early on that they're a little bit weaker blocking in the middle, they're pretty big on the pins. We really wanted to take advantage of that one-on-one, like Becca said, and then also getting in those gaps because it was pretty guaranteed to be one-on-one, which makes it a lot easier. So also kudos to our setters. They were feeding the ball super well. And then I think obviously you can't really tell in our passing, but we just talked about it in the locker room. The passes that we did get, we really capitalized on it. So that's huge.
A successful financial future is built one coin at a time. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned saver, we've got the financial resources and team of experts who will be with you every step of the way. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you if you need anything to do with your auto body repair, you got to go to Dingman's Collision Center. It's dingmans.com where you find all the information you need to know, including where to find their 4 convenient locations across the Omaha metro area, and to check out all the latest cutting-edge technology they've invested into and their ongoing training programs so that their team can make sure every repair is done safely and to the highest standard. They're locally and family-owned and operated, so you know you can trust them. They've been voted first place Best of Omaha for 20 straight years for auto body repair. It's Dingman's Collision Center. Get out to dingmans.com. All right, Austin.
Ding!
Little belt? No? Okay, that's fine.
No ding.
That's fine. It's a... So
I was waiting for it. I was really excited.
It's you thought you were gonna get one.
I thought I was gonna get a ding.
So you wanted to play a little fan base check-in here.
Yes, there it is.
It's never too late for a ding.
It's never too late for a ding. That's
Always,
what the kids were saying.
Always on delay.
I wanted to play Would You Rather Be which fan base?
Ooh, okay.
Or which program? We can play kind of both ways. I like fan base better because those people are rational, not like us. We're very cool, calm, and collected. Clear heads, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, we're after a bye week, right? It's like this is our honeymoon.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.
Yeah, right. It's like, this is a good time. So, do you want to start high expectation or low expectations?
Ooh, let's start with high expectations.
All right. So, would you rather be the fan base of, following, obviously, the results of what just happened this past weekend, Penn State and Nittany Lions,
okay,
or the LSU Tigers?
Ooh.
So can I lay this out for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously Penn State had another big top 10 matchup not go their way. It's a second straight loss to Oregon. They have now fallen down the hierarchy, as we mentioned earlier, in the Big Ten totem pole. Not only that, but there's other factors that go into this too. Ohio State looks downright unbeatable in the Big Ten Conference as it stands.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I don't think they look unbeatable.
But nonetheless, you definitely look a peg lower than them when you look
sure.
like you were going to be head-to-head with them throughout the season.
For sure.
Now, on the opposite side, LSU dropped their first SEC game. Their quarterback might be injured. Their defense is...
And hasn't been that good.
Their defense is playing okay. Everything ends in a question mark. Not only that, but then LSU went, probably like into some sort of like stupor slumber right after the game ended, being like, oh, well, this day couldn't get any worse. But it did, because then Alabama seems to be right back into the thick of things in the SEC, because then they win against Georgia. So would you rather be LSU or Penn State?
I think... Ooh, this is actually a really tough one. I don't think either fan base should be panicking. I want to start there.
But they want to.
Oh, they're definitely panicking. I mean, I started the show talking about how there was a Fire Franklin chant during the game, and it was very much on the table that they still could have won the game. So, again, hilarious. But I don't think either fan base should be panicking yet. This is tough because I don't like Brian Kelly. He's a really good football coach.
Yeah, that's another part of this.
He's
too.
a really good football coach. I just don't like him. I would be more concerned. I think I'd be more concerned as an LSU fan because the offense has been bad. The offense has been bad.
And it's nowhere close to where it was a year ago.
Against anyone who is not Southeast Louisiana, their most points they have scored is 23. And that was against Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
Against 1-3 Clemson, 17 points. Against 1-3 Florida, 20 points. And against a good Ole Miss team, 19 points. So I would rather be Penn State because I'm genuinely concerned about what the offense for LSU is doing. I don't know where the fix is there. That seems that seems concerning.
Okay, very nice. All right, so do you want to keep going down the list in terms of expectations?
Do you have an answer?
And do I have an answer? I think I would rather be the Penn State fan base right now because I can convince myself that there's probably still an outside probability. We're in the college football playoff as it stands right now. LSU, I don't know if it gets any better. Like, I really don't, because you look across your conference, and
also
I'm gonna add in the fact too that LSU having Alabama look like they're gonna be Alabama again. That's a double gut punch that you just can't suffer. Where Penn State, it's like, oh well, we've always been number 2. Like, I mean, we can at least agree on that
at best.
Yeah.
Also, the schedule coming up here, I know you thought Penn State's schedule was hard. They've got a rough stretch.
Right.
LSU has South Carolina, at Vandy, Texas A&M, at Bama, Arkansas, Western Kentucky. Thank God for that, non-con game. And then at Oklahoma,
it's a get-right game.
Who Oklahoma appears to be good.
Yeah.
So, and John Mateer should be back by that point.
Yeah.
So that, to me, I look at and I go, okay, that schedule is pretty rough. Like, this could get,
and especially a lot of games where your offense is going to have to show up.
Especially if you can't score, like, things could get sideways on you.
Yeah.
Things could get. And I will say, with Alabama's not on your list here, is it?
No.
Okay. I will say, if you want to talk about guys playing just so you know, this isn't just a Dylan thing. If you want to talk about guys playing the position at a super high level that nobody's talking about, Ty Simpson's balling right now.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, people wanted to write him off right away.
That dude. Yeah. I mean, he didn't look good against Florida State, right? That dude was making big boy throws, good mobility. Like, I was kind of like waiting for it the last couple of weeks. I was like, I think this guy might be pretty good. That was great performance by Ty Simpson of Alabama. Like, I gotta, put the metaphorical florist back.
Floor.
Yeah, not
Jeez.
the medical florist.
Our words are getting
the
scrambled.
Metaphorical florist back to work and give him his flowers there, because I thought he was really, really good.
Yeah, busted knuckles for our metaphorical florist.
Our medical florist.
Our medical florist. Okay,
continue.
Would you rather be fan base or program?
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather be Texas A&M after you take down Auburn yesterday? Or would you rather be Indiana, where you come off of back-to-back wins that a lot of people are going to give you a lot of credit for, a lot of credence for? You blew out your not in-state, but you're one of your biggest border war rivals in Illinois, and then you were able to take down Iowa in a game that everyone told you was a trap game. You may not have covered the spread, but you feel good. A&M has the SEC schedule that's coming up. Indiana rather has a couple of really big Big Ten matchups that they're going to have to survive if they want to be in the college football playoff. Which fan base would you rather be?
Well, so this is a tricky one for me, because
you hate Kurt Cignetti.
Don't like Kurt Cignetti, and I hate A&M.
That's why I did this for you.
So that's mean, first of all. If I'm taking my feelings about the situation out of it, we're removing emotion from the equation.
Yeah.
We're just talking ball. I would definitely rather be Indiana. Their schedule coming up is, not that bad. It's really not. It's very manageable. And then also, listen. First of all, if I'm an Indiana fan, I don't live in this state of delusion where I think I can just name national champions.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
And
that's a
just
good point.
Like, well, like
1929.
Anyway, not just be like, oh, we have 12 now. Congrats, I think. Is there going to be a parade?
Yeah.
If I'm an Indiana fan, I'm just thrilled to death to be here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, first of all, I don't think there are really very few, I'm guessing, Indiana football first fans. There's probably a lot of Indiana basketball fans that are like, oh, we're going to football now too. That's great.
Yeah.
But if there are any, and I'm sure there are a handful, because I know a handful of Illinois first football fans, so I do know they exist. Those people have to be just so happy.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for them. And also, like, you've got a legitimate shot at making another playoff this year. Like, you've got a really manageable path towards a playoff spot again. So if I'm an Indiana fan, I feel great about that. If I'm Texas A&M, I have to assume that the Texas A&M in me will come out at some point, and I will stumble and fall and have to make up another national championship, because it's not happening for real anytime soon.
Okay, so I would give you the slight argument. Indiana may actually have potentially a tougher path.
Well, give me the schedule, because I just looked at Indiana's and I was not impressed.
So 2 weeks from now, they're on a bye week. Then they are at Oregon. They'll take Michigan State at home. They're then at home against UCLA, on the road at Maryland, on the road at Penn State, at home against Wisconsin, and wrap up the year at Purdue. Doesn't sound terrible.
Oregon and Penn State, basically.
But I'll ask you this. Texas A&M, I think you could – I don't think I have to spin this too far to convince you that they're probably pretty similar. A&M in the next few weeks has Mississippi State at home, Florida at home with notable DJ Lagway Heisman contender at quarterback. Arkansas, which just fired their head coach on October 18th. On the 25th, they will take on the LSU Tigers on the road, which who knows what LSU could be at that point. You are then on the road at Missouri after a bye week. You're at home against South Carolina. You take on notable football power and rivalry game in Samford, and then you take on Texas to end the season on the road.
Yeah, I would much rather have Indiana's schedule.
Okay.
I think Mississippi State's actually pretty good. I think that's a little bit of a trap game. Florida's bad. I don't know what to do with Arkansas because I'm really intrigued here because Taylon Green is really good, the quarterback. For whatever Bobby Petrino is, he can coach offense.
That he can.
Like I
got ride motorcycles.
Maybe solo, he's better at it. I don't
weight distribution.
It gets a little squirrely. So that's why the sidecars are important. So
you should get the spider bike, the little 3-wheel one.
It's a little more stable. Call that a tricycle. So Arkansas, I actually think is a really interesting game in a few weeks because I feel like Arkansas is capable, which is why Sam Pittman got fired, is because I think they are capable and they're just not performing. I don't know. I think Bobby Petrino actually might have this team playing well by a few weeks from now. So I don't think that's a cakewalk. At LSU is never a cakewalk. However we feel about Brian Kelly and Garrett Nussbaum, at LSU, never easy. Missouri's good. You have to go at Missouri. So in 3 consecutive weeks, you go at Arkansas, at LSU, at Missouri. That's not an easy stretch. South Carolina, I have no idea. Notable SEC power, Samford, that's probably a win. And then at Texas. You've got 4 pretty difficult conference road games.
Okay, fair.
I will take Indiana for sure. I do want to ask you one, though.
I would say, for me personally, I would say Texas A&M just because you're part of a cult. You're always happy. So there's that. But, yeah.
Until they make you drink the Kool-Aid.
That is true.
And then you're like, oh, no.
What do you got for me?
Just the team we were talking about.
Okay.
How do you feel right now? This is not a would you rather.
Okay.
This is just a how do you feel as this fan base? How do you feel right now if you're Arkansas? You just fired Sam Pittman, and there is a very decent possibility that Bobby Petrino will not just be your interim, but they may hire him as your head coach again.
Yeah.
How do you feel as an Arkansas fan right now? SkyMex, if you're in the chat, please chime in what the vibe is in Arkansas right now.
Is he an Arkansas fan or he lives in Arkansas?
He lives in Arkansas.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. That's so tough because Bobby Petrino is just like scorched earth to everybody else, right? Like, wouldn't touch him. Nobody else would think anything of him. But for whatever reason,
didn't Louisville give him another shot?
Yeah. No, he loves getting second chances at places he's already been. But it's kind of like that. God, who's the West Virginia basketball coach?
Huggins.
Yeah. People still clamor for Huggins. They're like, oh, do you remember how good we were, though? Like, do you remember what those years were like? And it's like, well.
I mean, they just did it with Rich Rod.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can always go back to what you're comfortable with, right? Like, your ex may have cheated on you, but you always want to get back. Like, you're always like, no, I can change him. That's what, Arkansas fans are trying to go through right now. They're like, oh, no.
The cheating analogy might be a little on the nose.
Yeah. But I mean, they're just trying to feel it out. I don't know. The interim part of this conversation is so interesting. I don't think that he will be the head coach when they move forward because hopefully whoever comes into Arkansas can clean up that entire place because the obvious narrative is that they've got Walmart money. They've got all this money in the world. If Arkansas had Walmart money, like actual Walmart money, they wouldn't be hiring Sam Pittman and Bobby Petrino as their head coach. No. They would be getting coaches that would be head over heels to run all the way to Fayetteville and get to be in an SEC power.
So here's the thing. Arkansas is actually a pretty hard job.
Yes.
Arkansas is a pretty hard job.
Yeah. They're not even like a true SEC school. They still don't configure in. Like they have been a part of the SEC for decades and decades.
Yeah,
I get that. But
30 years at this point.
But still, comparative to some of the other schools, the SEC does not treat them the same way that they do others.
So Arkansas has always been sort of the stepchild of their conferences, right?
Yes.
Because they were the only non-Texas team in the Southwest Conference, and now they're sort of this outlier team. Less so now that Texas and Texas A&M are in there, and Oklahoma,
especially Missouri, because they look at them in Missouri and they're like, "What are you guys doing?"
They're like, "Hey, what are any of us doing here?" But for a long time, they were the furthest west. They were kind of just out there on an island by themselves, and I just look and I go, "Okay, they've never really fit like SEC culture necessarily."
Yeah,
and. Listen, maybe there's Walmart money, maybe there's not. It hasn't seemed like a resource-rich program in years past, right? So unless the Walmart heirs are now finally opening up the checkbook, that's like being like, oh yeah, Nebraska's got Buffett money. It's like, no, he doesn't. Buffett doesn't give anything to Nebraska. At least not to football. And maybe does the university. I have no idea. I mean, he does to UNMC a ton.
Yeah.
Or at least his daughter's foundation does. I don't know. I'm sure,
all that stuff. Yeah.
I think the money's coming from him, if I'm being honest. But like, I don't know how, like, I don't think any of that money's going to Arkansas. And I don't think they have like the Jerry Jones money. I don't think he's writing checks either. Famous Arkansas alum and resident.
So here's the part about Arkansas that's so interesting is we mentioned all these sort of things, but for whatever reason, they still can get talented players. And just like searching through some of their past, their past 4 recruiting classes, they have had at least 2, which I know isn't super notable, but they've had at least 2 ESPN 300 commits, which are generally consensus like 4-star recruits, right? They do pick up more 3-stars than 4-stars, but comparatively, they pick up more 4-stars than 5-stars, but they've had 5 ESPN 300 commits in the past 2 recruitment classes combined. Now, obviously, some of them have left and moved on, and some will continue to because of head coaching changes. But it's not like people and talented players are not going to Arkansas. They are going. It's a place where people want to play and compete against other SEC schools, but it's just not a fit. It doesn't make sense. Like, they've never gotten it to work since the McFadden days. Like, they just haven't had like a string of success.
Here's why I think this is my argument why you should be happy if you're an Arkansas fan this morning. Bobby Petrino is probably the best version of a head coach you're getting.
Yeah.
And, I mean, unless you're getting somebody who's up and coming and unproven, and I know that the Missouri State tenure for Bobby Petrino was not great, but it's also, I don't know, FCS. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that information. What I do know is outside of his last year at Louisville, the second time, he's been very, very good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to go through it real quick. This with his first stint at Louisville, 9, 11, 9, 12. That's his first 4 years at Louisville. Then he goes to Arkansas, 5, 8, 10, 11. Then Western Kentucky, 8. Then Louisville again, 9, 8, 9, 8. And then he had the bad year in 2018. He goes 2-8 and gets fired. He's had one bad year basically in 15 as a head coach at the FBS and Power Conference level.
Yeah, and also, I mean, again, like we're putting a big like wet blanket over this whole thing that there wasn't any other issues outside.
No,
of
there
football,
definitely was,
right?
but in terms of like without firing Sam Pittman, you're probably not hiring Bobby Petrino as your head coach. Like you're not going out and hiring Bobby Petrino as your head coach, probably.
Right.
But he might be the best guy you're going to get, and he's a guy that kind of understands the area, has had success there before. If I'm an Arkansas fan this morning, I not only am I kind of rooting for him to get the job full time, I'm not throwing in the towel on this season yet. All of a sudden, I think, hey, I've got a really good quarterback. I've got an offensive genius. Like, let's give it a go.
Yeah. Okay, as you usually do, you seem to somehow convince me. But nonetheless, I'm not on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle. Right. I'm not riding it into the sunset. All right, I'm not doing it.
Can do that. No one should be on the Bobby Petrino motorcycle.
All right,
hire a driver, Bobby.
So here's the last one I have for you.
All right.
And this is the one I really wanted to get to because we talked about it a little bit last week too. So your fan base, right, of these two programs, which one would you again rather be?
Okay.
And you can't choose like jump into a vat of acid.
Oh, okay.
UCLA or Oklahoma State.
Oh, I think that's pretty easy.
I don't think it is.
I think definitely Oklahoma State.
Okay. I would lean Oklahoma State, but I'm curious as to why.
Because UCLA is an absolute dumpster fire at every level, including...
And you don't think Oklahoma State is at that category yet?
No, I don't. Because institutionally, it's not just from the athletic program. It's not just from NIL and all this stuff. UCLA as a school is actually broke. So nothing that gets paid for at an institutional level is going to be what you need. Like there is not the institutional support at any of the California state schools. So any of the public schools in California are all in very bad shape financially.
True.
That is, as far as I know, not the case at Oklahoma State.
At least your stadium's on campus at Oklahoma State.
Also certainly helps. Like I do think playing in the Rose Bowl is like not great for UCLA.
No.
Like it's a bad look.
It's been a topic of conversation for 5 years.
Yes,
they're like we have yet to fill this stadium.
Yeah, like and they're not going to. It's 100,000 person stadium and they're bad at football. Like what are you doing, right? So not only do you not have institutional money, it appears the NIL doesn't exist for UCLA, and you're in this spot where you're fighting against USC, who is out recruiting you at every turn.
Yep.
You're in a conference that's way too good for you right now.
Yep.
And I think that may be one of the biggest issues here. Like the Big 12 is constantly gettable,
Mhm.
right? However good we think Texas Tech is, however good we think Utah is, however good we think Iowa State is. The Big 12, like, does Utah, Texas Tech, Iowa State put the fear of God into you the way that Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, even Indiana at this point? Like, none of, like, Indiana's probably your closest at like a Texas Tech type level.
Yeah.
But you don't, like, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Oregon.
Yeah.
Every year.
And you will also always have to play, like you said, you always have to play Oregon, Washington, and USC because you're the West Coast school.
Yes,
Like if you're
and-
UCLA, you'll always have to play them.
Yeah, you're always going to have to play them. And then you've got these randos in the middle of the conference that are never easy to play, and your Iowas and your Minnesotas, and hopefully your Nebraskas are in that category.
Good ad.
Right? Like, being in the Big Ten and being that resource deficient is a nightmare. If you're in the Big 12 and you can get any money out of whatever the family trust of T. Boone Pickens is, you're fine. Immediately, you're fine. Like, that is not the case at UCLA. It is, like, that's not even a question for me. I wouldn't touch that UCLA job with somebody else's 10-foot pole. Like, I have no interest. I'm not getting anywhere near that thing. That is Chernobyl. Like, hard pass. I will watch a docuseries about it 40 years from now. I'm not one of those disaster adventurers that I want to go tour the landscape. Absolutely not. Hard pass.
I didn't know you were this passionate
I
anti-Bruin.
I think UCLA is one of the worst power conference jobs in the country right now.
Okay.
They have they're broke on every level. They're not just NIL broke. Their athletic department broke. They're institutionally broke.
Yeah. They don't got Walmart money. They're shopping at Walmart.
Maybe this is like Temu money. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Kevin Kugler, who does play-by-play for literally everything here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Back to busy means Kia savings this September at Edwards Kia. Lease the 2026 Kia Sportage starting at just $299 a month, 36 months with zero do-it signing. Capability, comfort, and ready for back to busy. Or drive the 2026 Kia Seltos, lease starting at $279 a month, 36 months with zero do-it signing. Compact SUV, big value built for the season.
It pays to make the drive.
It pays to make the drive to Edwards Kia in Council Bluffs.
Thanks everybody for being here. I'm happy for this moment. I'm happy for, the support that Omaha has been giving me over the years. I would say I'm blessed. It's been a roller coaster, but we made it to the top. No matter how we made it, and it's definitely a test to say that anything is possible if you work hard at it and you believe in yourself and you have the faith to keep going no matter what the obstacles is put in front of you, and you can achieve anything. So I practice that to the kids because coming from Omaha, nobody thinks you're capable of doing extraordinary. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Kind of nervous. The big stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean? So.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Picked off by Cam Taylor-Britt, and Cam Taylor-Britt takes it to the house. Smith sets, throws for the end zone, deflected and intercepted. A diving pick in the end zone. Dante Jackson off the Derwin James deflection picks it off and turns the Raiders away again. Darnold to throw, 5-man pressure, throws left side, floats it for the end zone, drops it into A.J. Barner along the left side of the end zone for a Seattle touchdown.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Kevin Kugler, broadcaster for Fox and Westwood One, and I think everyone does anyone not send you a paycheck, Kevin?
I'm not hired by the Cleveland Browns, despite the fact that I've done 2 of their games this season. I am not officially paid by the Browns.
Well, my condolences for having to do that. As we hop right into NFL stuff here, Kevin, you got to see a little bit better game yesterday with Rams Colts. There was no Cleveland Brownsing that for you.
Hey, you know what? We've been very lucky. Every one of our games, all 4 of them, has been decided by a single score this year. So I can't complain about that. You know, this league tends to lean towards the dramatic in a normal week anyway, and we've been really lucky. We haven't had, knock on wood, any of those blowouts yet, although we have Detroit, Cincinnati coming up this weekend, so that could change with the way Detroit's playing right now. But through 4 weeks, we've been pretty lucky with at least competitive games in the fourth quarter. I think that's more than we had at any point last season. We're not going to complain about that.
Cougs, were you happily surprised when you were getting this assignment? Like maybe in the preseason you were like, I don't know what the Colts are going to be, but that game obviously ended up being pretty good, and getting ready for it, you had 2 pretty good teams that got into it.
Oh, we were fired up. The Rams really should have been 3-0. I know that should have is not the same thing as is in the NFL, but they played well enough to beat the Eagles the week before, had the 26-7 lead, and we all know what happened after that. The Eagles came back and won, but this was the last of the 4 games that we get assigned in the preseason. So everything else is now assigned week to week, and we were a little bit surprised, frankly, that game got as good as it did. I think the Colts have been one of the nice surprises in the league, and seeing them in person yesterday, I kind of believe in them. I don't know that they're not a Super Bowl winning team, but I do think this is a team that's capable with the schedule they have in the division they're in of maybe winning the division and becoming a playoff team, which in Shane Steichen's 3rd year would be a very nice jump, and I would think Colts fans would be very excited about that.
Kevin, my normal partner here, DB, was very high on the Daniel Jones bandwagon going to Indiana. Thought it was a very good signing. I know we all hate to admit when DB is right, but I mean, Daniel Jones looks like a real quarterback now.
Yeah, he had a couple of throws yesterday that I know he'd like back, a couple of errant passes, but every quarterback's going to say that over the course of a season. But I think all in all, he's played very well. He's played he's played controlled football. He's managed what they want to do. And look, you've got one of the 2 most dynamic running backs, not named Saquon Barkley, in the National Football League, and Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is a stud. Jonathan Taylor is healthy, and you couple that with an improved defense under defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, and I really do think this Colts team is a team to pay attention to. And again, the division they're in is a very, very winnable division right now for this team.
So when you were going through the broadcast of that game, I was telling Ravi earlier too before we got on that. Have you ever watched? Obviously, you're a Nebraska guy too, so you have seen games like this happen before with a certain team. But when it comes to just one team kind of imploding in big moments, I mean, I don't think I've seen the Colts do something like that ever, where there were 3 significant plays where it felt like those 3 plays go differently. There's not a penalty. They have 11 guys on defense for a 90-yard touchdown, or they don't get one holding call at the very end of the game. That they win that game if one of those plays goes right.
Well, and the worst thing for the Colts is 2 of those 3 plays were on the shoulders of Adonai Mitchell. I mean, you hold the ball like he did across the goal, and a guy who's never scored a touchdown in his 2 years at the NFL. So he's excited to finally get to the goal line, drops the football, and then clearly could not get that out of his system. We showed it over and over again, him pacing behind the huddle, him stomping around on the sidelines. It was one of those things that he couldn't get out of his system. And then he had the hold on the big run to the left side that negated a huge play for the Colts as they were marching down the field and derailed that drive. So it was not his best day. I'm sure he's going to be excited to try to redeem himself next week. But, man, those were some costly plays. And it's something the Colts had happen last year. Jonathan Taylor did a similar thing last year that cost them a touchdown. And now Adonai Mitchell. I understand the celebration and the picture of cross of the goal line with the arm outstretched all by yourself is a really cool picture. But it's a lot cooler if you score a touchdown.
You know, Kevin, the weirdest thing when I'm thinking about that, right, is you hear all these people talk about these one-handed catches and stuff, and they're like, oh, the gloves are so sticky. It's they got glue on their hands basically. And then I see something like Adonai Mitchell, and I was like, those gloves don't seem that sticky. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, exactly. You know, if there could have been a little of that stickiness on those gloves, the Colts would probably be winners today. But instead, the gloves weren't as sticky. And if the gloves don't stick, you must acquit. So apparently they acquitted the Colts from winning that football game. Disappointing for them, but a big win for the Rams, who I think are also pretty good. Those are two good teams, and I think two teams that are going to win a lot of games this year.
I thought it was the Colts, not the Broncos out there. I didn't realize we were going for that.
Well, it's all horses.
They're playing tonight. We'll get to see if they can muster more than 175 yards passing tonight. That'll be a fun thing to see.
Okay, so I'm curious, after you get done with your broadcast, how much of like the rest of the NFL landscape are you able to absorb then on a Sunday, or is it strictly travel right after you get done with that game?
Well, so it depends on where we are and what we're doing. So yesterday, being a West Coast game, we didn't kick until 3:05 Central. And the way SoFi Stadium is set up, they have the giant ribbon board with massive screens that all they do before the game is show Red Zone. So they call it like the Rams Sports Bar or something like that. Anyway, you sit in SoFi and you watch football. So on a West Coast game, I see way more NFL than I do during the course of when I have a noon game and I'm on at the same time as 7 or 8 other games. When you're doing the West Coast, it's a lot more easy to digest those games that are early. And then last night, it was a matter of go to the airport right after the game, get on a flight home, and thank goodness the game went to overtime. I got a ton of Sunday night football last night, so that was really the best of both worlds. Soaring through the night sky at 11 p.m. Central Time, and I still had a little football to watch. That was nice.
Kevin, when you're looking at teams, you kind of mentioned the Broncos there, so it made me think about this. Obviously, I think one of the more disappointing teams compared to what a lot of people had expectations for them coming into the season. Is there a team that either good or bad has surprised you a lot so far in the season? I know we're early, but I feel like the Broncos for me stick out pretty aggressively.
Here, for me, and it's probably because I have some amount of bias because I do the preseason games, but the Houston Texans, especially on the offensive side, that's been a big disappointment. I really expected that Texans offense to be at least a little more proficient, and it has really struggled over the course of I'll say 4 games, because for a good portion of that game yesterday, it was 6-0 and then 12-0. So it wasn't like this was a team that was lighting up the score, but I know they won 26-0, but that's sort of a misleading score with a couple of late touchdowns against the Titans team that's hapless. I'm not surprised by the Titans. They're starting a rookie quarterback and they don't have any pieces around him. So that's a rough situation for Cam Ward. But the Texans have surprised me. This is a team that's won the division the last couple of years. They've won a playoff game each of the last 2 years. To be as inept as they've appeared at times on offense, that's a head scratcher for me. They've got a lot of talent over there, but that offensive line is struggling. And I guess it goes back to the old adage that we all know around here watching football all these years, is that it all starts with the lines. If your line isn't able to dislodge or move anybody across from you, it's going to be a long day for your quarterback, no matter how talented he or your offense is.
Kevin, I want to go to the other side of the ball on a team that's been inept on defense that I think everyone in the free world thought was going to be really good, and maybe they still are. Where is your level of concern on the Ravens defense right now?
Beat me to it. How dare you?
Yeah, I do have some concern. I have some concerns with that whole team right now, and I understand the schedule they've played. I have some concerns with Derrick Henry as a running back. I have some concerns with that defense. Are they starting to show their age across the board? Are they just not meshing where they need to mesh? I don't know how long Lamar Jackson, if he's going to be out at all with that injury that we saw late yesterday. I don't love the vibe around that team right now. 1-3 is hard to overcome. I don't care who you are or where you are. Now, again, for Ravens, biggest benefit is their division right now. Cincinnati is a mess with Jake Browning at quarterback. They're just not able to do anything. Maybe we'll see difference tonight after he's had a good full week and a half in the system. But I don't really feel confident about Cincinnati. I don't feel confident about Cleveland. At some point, Dylan Gabriel is going to be inserted into that starting quarterback job, and I think it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers. Are they good? Yeah, they're good. And they'll probably be, 10-7, 11-6. I mean, that's kind of the range they live in these days, it seems like. Is that going to be enough to win the division? Probably, with the Ravens starting 1-3, but you can't rule the Ravens out, even though I have a significant amount of concerns with them, because their division is a very winnable division, even at 1-3 to start.
So the two teams you just mentioned, Texans, Ravens, at this point, which one do you think has a better chance of being able to make a run, get to the postseason?
I think the Ravens do, because I do think there's talent there, and I like their schedule. Look ahead to their schedule after another week or so. There's a 5-game stretch that you can look at and say, yeah, that's a pretty winnable stretch of games for this Ravens team. We were looking at that schedule yesterday, and I really do think there's a chance to get right thanks to the schedule and some of the teams that they have coming up. The Texans, I think, are a better offensive team right now, assuming Lamar Jackson's not healthy. Lamar Jackson's healthy, then the Ravens are the best offensive team of those two that we're talking about. But they can't protect anybody. The Texans' defense is the best of any of the units that we're talking about right now of these two teams. Texans' defense is legit good. They've been good all year long. They just have had no offensive support whatsoever.
Kevin, I'm going to throw a couple hot takes at you. You tell me if I'm crazy.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
Number one, we're starting scorching here. Ben Johnson's impact was dramatically overrated in both Detroit and Chicago.
I disagree with that hot take. I think we don't know his impact in Chicago yet.
Okay.
I think we're assuming that it's not going to be great, but there's still holes on that Bears team. They're better. I mean, I saw the Bears 3 or 4 times last year. They're better right now than they were last year. Is it better attributed to Ben Johnson, to the growth of Caleb Williams? I don't know. I don't know that you can say that and I understand the reason for that hot take in the Detroit regard, because they're still really good. And I think he probably was overrated to a certain degree at the end. I think his impact at Detroit was felt more in the establishment of the system and the establishment of confidence for a quarterback that was coming in and wasn't sure what his role was going to be. We look at Jared Goff now and we think, man, Jared Goff, what a great quarterback. He's having great success. And we all have to remember that when he was traded to Detroit, he was seen as a 1-year stopgap. They were going to just use him to start at quarterback that year. And then they were going to go draft somebody in the first round because they had a high draft pick the next year. Well, he was so good they could go get Aidan Hutchinson. They didn't have to have Jared Goff replaced. They signed Jared Goff. He sticks around. And all of a sudden, that offense is clicking. I think a lot of it's Jared Goff, who's really smart. They have a great 1-2 punch at running back. That's a really talented team. Ben Johnson's impact, though, was felt early in establishing that system, getting Jared Goff up to speed. I'm not saying Jared Goff's coaching it, but it's more of a let's get this firm foundation, and then we can keep the foundation in place when you go somewhere else to try to install it there.
All right, hot take number 2.
Let's go.
This one I feel like is less hot, but we're going to try it anyway. The Chargers are no longer a AFC West contender if Joe Alt misses significant time.
Hot take.
I'll buy that hot take. I will buy that hot take. Joe Alt's such a big part of what they do. And if he's out for a significant amount of time, you just don't grab those guys on the free agent market. You know, they're not just sitting at home. Like, for example, the Colts went out and picked up Mike Hilton when Kenny Moore went down in their secondary. Is Mike Hilton the same as Kenny Moore? No, but he's a very serviceable guy that you can plug into that nickel spot because he's played under Lou Anarumo in Cincinnati, and he was not hurt. He was just unsigned. He had gone through a camp. He got cut by Miami, which in hindsight probably wasn't a great idea for the Dolphins to cut anybody of any kind of talent. But you look at what he's doing now and moves right into a starting role 6 days in. You can go get a guy like that. There's not a Joe Alt replacement just twiddling his thumbs at home going, well, any minute now I'll have a chance to get out there and play some good football. That guy's not out there. I think that's a huge loss, and it's a huge thing for a quarterback who'd been playing terrific football through the first 3 games and hit that speed bump yesterday. Not a coincidence either that speed bump came at the same time the injury.
All right, final hot take. It may be the hottest one we have, okay?
Oh, my gosh.
There is going to be at least one team that wins fewer than 2 games this year?
Yes, there will be at least one team that wins fewer than 2. I think the Titans are ticketed for
very bad.
2 or fewer seasons. That's a rough team. That is a rough team. They may be the, yeah, no, he did, and he ought to know. I mean, he's in that locker room every day. We don't even have to wait for a hot take from the media for that. We just ask him, what are we? Oh, we're ass. Okay, great, congratulations. So why come to the games anymore? I think, and I feel bad for him. I think he's talented, but they've given him nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, he has nothing. And, it's never a good sign when your head coach 2 or 3 games into the season says, I'm a play caller, but I'm going to relinquish this play calling to this guy. It's a mess in Tennessee. I feel bad for Cam Ward, but I like that hot take. I think that's a 1-win team waiting to happen.
I feel like we got 3 real candidates: Dolphins, Saints, and Titans. I think we've got some real candidates there. Those are some bad football teams.
We do. Yeah, Miami is on the struggle bus, and the Saints, it doesn't surprise me. I think this is a year where they're just going to try to fight through with whatever they have at quarterback and try to find somebody new next year. The good thing is Kellen Moore's going to basically get a bye in his first year.
So on that same note, I have a take that I'm putting the pot on the water right now, right? I'm trying to heat it up. I'm trying to warm it up. See what I feel about that. But you mentioned Saints, Titans, Dolphins, all pretty bad teams, right? Could the New England Patriots win the AFC East just strictly off their schedule? Obviously they play the Bills on Sunday Night Football next week, but after that they go Saints, Titans, Browns, Falcons. They have a tough game against the Bucks. They'll play the Jets, Giants, Bills again, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. That's not a terrible slate.
No.
And if they get hot, I feel like you could win the AFC East that way.
The only way I would disagree with that take, and I'd turn the stove down a little bit, is if they had shown any ability to beat the Bills recently. If they can beat the Bills you got to split at least with Buffalo. Yeah, you got to get one.
You don't mean the Panthers or the Bills level? Come on, they put belt to ass yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what I do know. I do know that Drake May and the Patriots with that schedule are good enough to sneak into the wild card conversation in the AFC. That's a take I think you can have and be pretty safe on. I like Drake May. First off, I thought he got better and better as last year went on, and I gotta say that schedule is that's a very 10-win feel schedule for the New England Patriots.
So Kevin, let me ask you this: for these teams that are on the struggle bus, maybe won't win 2 games this year, pretty much all of them need a quarterback, right? Except for the Titans, who we think maybe we like Cam Ward a little bit. We're looking and we go, okay, we think this is going to be a great quarterback draft class. Then you look up, you're like, ooh, Arch Manning, that's a little rough.
You got to do that, man.
Don't really know what Lenore Sellers is doing. Cade Klubnik not looking great. Garrett Nussmeier, don't know if that's going to work.
Dylan Raiola is a year away.
Drew Aller, we're like, what I think people thought was going to be a really, really good draft class with quarterbacks, and that they had this opportunity. All of a sudden they're looking up and they're like, maybe we take a lineman. They've got to be. Yeah. This got to be a nightmare for them.
If you're a team like the New Orleans Saints that's sitting, or look, I would put the Miami Dolphins in this conversation if they change coaches, because that whole offense was built around Tua. If you're looking for a quarterback in this year's draft, and that's what you're banking on, oh boy, that's a very empty aisle that you're shopping on right now from what I've seen in the college football world. There's not a guy out there that you're going to look at and say, which means that the Browns are loving life right now because they have Shedeur Sanders. And think of the trade market that's going to come for Shedeur, who told us this past week that he could play and start for 31 of the 32 teams in the National Football League.
That might be the hottest take we've heard yet.
Yeah.
That's very hot. That's very not sure it's accurate, but it's hot.
Yeah, is the one that he can't start for Cleveland because he's third string?
Apparently, yes. Apparently, that is the one team that he cannot start for because Joe Flacco is too good.
So, would you rather hear from your third string quarterback saying that he could start for every other team in the franchise except for yours, or would you rather hear from your starting quarterback that your team is just bad? I don't know what's a better locker room message.
I never want to hear from my third string quarterback because nothing good is coming when my third string quarterback is talking. Not ever. Challenge you guys to have your listeners, without using the Google machine or an NFL.com roster, to name me 10 actual number 3 quarterbacks in this league? I don't think you can. And if you can, it's because 1 and 2 got hurt, and you're in a world of trouble as a team.
I was just going to say Carson Wentz.
That's what I can get you. It's amazing to me that there's been this much conversation, and I understand why there is. But my gosh, it's the third-string quarterback. I don't know the third-string quarterback for teams, and I cover the league. I mean, I have boards that I built to spot for the last 2 games I did that I couldn't tell you right now without looking at them who the number 3 quarterback was on those boards. I just did a game yesterday.
I'm almost positive Nick Mullins is around here somewhere. I know that.
He's got to be. He's got to be. God bless him for that. You know what? Chase Daniel retired, but he made a lot of nice money being that guy for a lot of years.
Oh, Tommy DeVito. Oh, Tommy DeVito's out there. He's floating around. He's making a sub somewhere.
He's ready. He's rested, tanned, and ready to go.
Kevin, when do you find out what you're calling next? You know what's coming up this week already?
I got Detroit. Well, I've got Thursday night on Westwood 1 this week.
What do we got?
Rams and Niners. Okay. Rams Niners on Thursday.
Okay.
Detroit Cincinnati on Sunday, and then we wait and see.
As you're doing your prep for Thursday, how are you feeling about my 49ers? How are we looking?
I like the 49ers. Are they going to get healthy? I mean, if they,
almost never.
As they continue. Yeah, I know. But as they continue to get healthier, I like that team. I love that division, man. I just think every team in that division has a story to tell. Even the Arizona Cardinals, who have offensive woes of their own, but I think they've got stories to tell. I know Seattle does, and haven't seen the Rams firsthand. They're really good. But San Francisco has already 2 divisional wins. They've got a leg up on everybody else. I like those Niners.
That is our guy, Kevin Kugler. Kevin, we appreciate the time and all your expertise as always, and enjoy getting to see my 49ers this week.
You got it, fellas. Take care.
Appreciate it, Kevin. That is Kevin Kugler of Fox Sports and Westwood 1 and everywhere, pretty much everywhere.
Should have asked some baseball.
Yeah,
it's football season.
We'll get to baseball. We're going to talk to
how far into postseason baseball until you dig your heels into it?
No, I'll start right away.
Okay.
I mean, the Red Sox.
I have to wait around.
The Red Sox are in.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested there. We're going to talk a little baseball tomorrow with Steve Gardner from USA Today, one of our baseball guys. So we'll talk to him as we get ready for the postseason. But no, I'm into.
I was really happy I didn't have to put that highlight in.
Which highlight?
Red Sox, Detroit.
Why are you always?
You could have.
Why are you always hating?
Because it's my team you were playing.
Yeah, but you made the playoffs still. You snuck in.
Yeah, but it could have gone a little bit better with just one more win.
Yeah, I mean you did go 2-8 down the stretch there to.
They did, yes, they did.
To sneak in, but it's all right. You made it. You're in. You're in. You got the invite to the dance. That's all you can do.
Yeah, the invite to the dance. They get the toughest team they're probably going to face because they may not make it out of it. So,
well, that's how playoffs go. Shano.
Anything is possible.
Anything, as Kevin Garnett once told us, anything is possible.
Do you know as Cam would say?
I mean, we keeping a book right now. We ask.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Shane.
That is Detroit. The last couple of weeks, they have been asked.
I might need a shirt of that.
Yeah,
because the Panthers are bad.
Yeah,
that was a tough day. Dr. Fiance and I had to double clutch myself there. Ooh, I'm getting used to that. We went on a run yesterday during the Panther game. She's like, "Is this going to be a problem?" And I watched Carolina score the first touchdown, and I was like, they've scored 37 unanswered points in 2 weeks. I was like, nah, we're good. And then they proceeded to be outscored by 42 unanswered points. And I said, oh, no, we're not good.
We're not good.
I was listening to the radio call when we were running. It just kept getting worse. I was like, how is this possible?
So apparently on Twitter, I've got this is catching up from the show earlier. Apparently Arkansas comes in with the Tyson chicken money.
Well, they got Tyson and Walmart money.
Yeah. So, but apparently that's the one that paid for the Calipari buyout from UK.
The double-breaded chicken.
So it's I think it's the Tyson chicken money. So yeah, if you got Tyson chicken money in Arkansas, let's go. Let's ball out.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's I do think it's a hard job.
It's one of the laziest parts of college football arguments that I hate these days. And I've even been susceptible to it too, because I've said it with SMU and other programs where it's like, well, these guys have money. Everybody has money. Everybody has money, and
except UCLA.
UCLA does not have any money. But see, that's the thing. Is everybody has money because they're still figuring out how to pay for coaches' buyout, and they're still figuring out how to pay. They're just we'll just government it. We're just gonna default and wait until later. We'll figure it out. That's somebody else's problem. It's one of the arguments that if Arkansas had all their resources possible and funneled all of their alumni money into one gettable resource,
great.
they would be unstoppable.
They'd be in great
They
shape.
would pay for the richest roster we've ever seen in college football.
Don't tell that to Texas Tech and their oil money.
Dude, oil's booming right now.
SMU does have FU money, though.
They do.
They really
But
do.
do they use it?
Yes.
Do they?
Yeah.
They're not number 12 in the country like Tech is.
No, but they are. They did famously make college football playoff last year.
Yes.
And
Pony excess.
they also have, I believe, their entrance into the ACC.
Oh yeah, they had to pay. That's right. Yeah,
they had to pay, and they don't get money from TV for like years, and they're just like, that's fine. We don't.
They're just the cool friend who pays for lunch all the
Pretty
time.
much, yeah.
They're like you. You felt that one coming up, didn't you?
I did. I was like, as soon as you said it pays for lunch, I was like, oh no.
The SMU of me and Rico.
That means Kenny's the SMU of me. I'm like, hey, I got this one. He's like, no, it's cool. Like, no, I owe you like 12.
No, we'll pay you back. Nah.
I owe you like 12 of these, Kenny.
Well, to be fair, I don't think the ACC is like, hey, we'll pay you back. They're like, no,
Yeah,
we're good.
ACC's 100% not trying to pay him back. They're like, you can only come if you're paying your way. It's like, honestly, it's like a college baseball roster where it's like, if you have the money to pay for everything, like, yeah, they'll let you wear a uniform.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If you're like a functional baseball player and you can pay your way, you can find a Division I roster to be on.
Yeah.
Like, that is, like, I'm not trying to be dismissive. Like, if you've got, especially like a private school, if you got like 40, 60 grand to pay a year and they don't have to pay a dime and you are like, can at least catch a ball to be useful in practice, like you will get a uniform.
Well, even the same way with like all the fan stuff, you can sell anything in a college football stadium these days. Like some of the programs are like, hey, you want to be a fan that runs out on the field, leads the team out of the tunnel, you have to hold a towel and a flag. Great, $100,000.
Well, did you hear about this? This was, I think, a few weeks back before the season. Oklahoma was selling press credentials. Like you could go to, not for the whole experience, but like you could go to the press conferences.
Oh yeah. Kansas City, the Chiefs do that.
And I was
you can. It's like their Bud Light package or whatever. You can like go and ask questions at the press conference, which is insane.
I was like, the press conferences are publicly available, like in real time, right?
And also,
like, why would you pay for that?
Not to pull back the curtain, press conferences are boring as hell. Like they're the worst. I would rather leave the stadium and go do literally anything else than talk about the game in which the team I'm covering lost and/or won. Yeah. I'd rather go either celebrate or deject myself in front of all my friends.
Especially if you're a fan and like a media member and you don't have like a job to do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now to hang out with like Schaefer and Bruns and all those guys. Yeah, no, I mean that'd be cool.
But they're also in work mode, so you're not like chilling.
Yeah, you just don't get to sit back and like just be like bumping elbows,
cracking a few cold ones, and be like, "What's going on, buddy?"
That's actually what they should sell. They should sell like the Bud Light Nebraska postgame experience, where like after Akron, you get to just be in the back cracking as many beers as you can for as long as rule's up there.
You know what I bet people would pay a ton of money for is if you set aside like 15 minutes after the press conference that anybody who paid like an obscene amount of money, Coach Rule will have one beer with you. They'd never have to worry about money again.
You get one question on house rules with beer.
Yeah,
I'm in. That would be bad.
You get a 4-minute segment on house rules. Listen, I'm just saying, I'm just a money-making machine over here,
Whatever
guys.
it takes.
I'm trying to help you out
takes.
with the NIL operations, guys. I'm trying to help. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Back to busy means Kia savings this September at Edwards Kia. Lease the 2026 Kia Sportage starting at just $299 a month, 36 months with zero do-it signing. Capability, comfort, and ready for back to busy. Or drive the 2026 Kia Seltos, lease starting at $279 a month, 36 months with zero do-it signing. Compact SUV, big value built for the season.
It pays to make the drive.
It pays to make the drive to Edwards Kia in Council Bluffs.
Thanks everybody for being here. I'm happy for this moment. I'm happy for, the support that Omaha has been giving me over the years. I would say I'm blessed. It's been a roller coaster, but we made it to the top. no matter how we made it, we made it. You know, and you know, it's definitely a test to say that anything is possible if you work hard at it and you believe in yourself and you have the faith to keep going no matter what the obstacles is put in front of you, and you can achieve anything. So I practice that to the kids because coming from Omaha, nobody thinks you're capable of doing extraordinary. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Kind of nervous. The big stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean. So.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union, reminding you if you're trying to save some money, whether it's a little emergency fund, a little vacation fund, whether you're like young Austin here, we're recently saving up for an engagement ring.
We've got a lot of saving to do.
Now you got to save up again for a wedding. Centris has you covered. It's a people-first credit union focused on helping you reach your financial goals. And everything from savings accounts to money markets, certificates, and their Centris Roundup program can help you reach those goals. They've got the tools and expertise to help you on your journey towards a worry-free tomorrow. Learn more and open an account at centralsfcu.org. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA. All right, so I'm just, scrolling the Twitters during our break here.
Yep.
And On3 kind of puts out a Heisman poll every week to see where everybody's at. And some not a ton of surprises at the top there. Dante Moore, having a really nice year.
I mean, do you really want to get into quarterback drafts right now? There's that too.
I don't think he's got the record. I don't think he's got the graphic ready.
Okay, well,
if Rico has the graphic ready, let me know.
Even if he doesn't, just so you know, Dante Moore did win us a couple of points, which I did try to go back and find the clip, and I may still do it, of Timber Geese when we drafted. Team Roston did draft Dante Moore, and he said, there's an outside chance that Dante Moore's not even the starter. Well, guess who's laughing now, Tim?
There was an outside chance. But speaking of guys who weren't even the starters,
how dare you?
I'd like you to look at number 4 on this list here that you don't have in front of you.
I do.
Oh, you do have it in front of you.
No,
Perfect.
actually, I have the betting odds list, but he is the 6th highest odds.
One Trinidad Chambliss.
Great name.
Great name. That's why I picked Ole Miss this weekend.
Ferris State's own.
Ferris State's own. Ferris State, great. National champion, D2, Trinidad Chambliss. Now 4th in On3's Heisman poll. Here's why I think that's interesting. I was trying to think here. I'm a little bit of a Heisman dork.
Okay.
It used to mean a lot more to me than it does now. It feels like it's been watered down a little bit, but I loved the Heisman growing up.
Right.
It was a very big deal for me. And I think it was for a lot of people. I was trying to think if there had ever been a quarterback specifically, although I'll open it up to all positions, who won the Heisman that was not the starter when the season began.
Yeah. I know that they're like...
We've had some off-the-radar guys.
Yeah, and I know that there have been some where they were the, quarterback battle, like going into camp, but it was like still clearly like going to be them. Because if I remember right, like Baker Mayfield didn't win it. He won it his first year at Oklahoma as a starter, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think he won it his last year at Oklahoma.
Okay, so maybe I was wrong there. But like Jameis Winston would have been like in one of those battles, even though like it was probably going to be him the entire time. Same with probably Johnny Manziel because they were both freshmen. It probably wasn't just handed to them right away. But
both of those guys were the clear-cut stars before the season started. Though.
Right,
yeah.
but to not start the very opening game or even a few games in, and then to be able to win the Heisman after that's like completely unprecedented. I have to assume, unless we're going all the way back to the 19 whatevers.
Yeah, so Mayfield was his 3rd year at Oklahoma that he won the Heisman.
Was I thinking of Kyler? Yeah, I was thinking of Kyler.
You might be thinking of Kyler Murray,
yeah.
but I think he was the immediate starter at Oklahoma as well. And it was his 2nd year at Oklahoma that he won it.
Well, but his first year would have been...
His first year, he was not the immediate starter.
Yes, yeah. But he wasn't eligible either because he transferred.
No, there was a year where he was eligible and did not start.
Okay, gotcha.
In 2017. That may have been the Jalen Hurts year, if I'm remembering correctly.
Ooh,
2017?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I think that was the Jalen Hurts year. He had the 1 year at Oklahoma. But yeah, so it was the 2nd year at Oklahoma. If chat, I know that you guys are good at this. Help me out here. If you can think of a guy that won a Heisman that was not a starter coming into the season, I would love to hear it because that's the thing. I mean, you got the D2 transfer story. You've got all of it, right? It's an incredible story. But not the starter to begin the season and has an opportunity to win a Heisman, depending on how this year goes, is fascinating to me.
Oh, 100%. I mean, so do you like him to be maybe one of the underrated favorites then?
Todd, I don't know. I don't know about Andre Ware and Billy Sims. Eric Crouch was the starter the year he won the Heisman, though.
Yeah,
that's the point. We're talking about the year they win the Heisman.
Not like at any point in their career were they a backup.
Like I
Most
get
of these
that
guys were
Eric Crouch
backups
was a
yeah.
disputed. That wasn't the case as a senior. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that that's ever happened. Sorry, what was your question?
I already forgot.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah. Oh no, what was? Do you think that he actually does have an outside chance? To
I do. I mean, listen, if Ole Miss has a good year and he's thrown 300 yards in 3 straight games. You know, a Kiffin quarterback not named Austin Simmons apparently is going to put up numbers. Like that is, I think it's really on the table.
Yeah.
Like I think there is a real opportunity for him to actually win. Like if Ole Miss makes the playoff and he continues to produce like this, like he's definitely going to be in the, like very least in the running, right? Like he's got to be.
So this is assuming because that means that he probably plays well and beats these next couple of teams, which would be Washington State, Georgia on the road, Oklahoma on the road, South Carolina at home, Citadel, Florida at home, Mississippi State on the road. That's actually, like, all things considered, if he wins the next 3 games and he plays well in 2 of those, that's pretty good. Like, that's going to bump you up just because of big opportunities, big game, and you upgrade your name, right? Even if you throw for like 190 yards, 2 scores or whatever, you don't like light the world on fire. You're probably getting credit for that too. And then you also end on the likely then if Ole Miss is going to be like rolling through the Trinidad train that way, that they would be an SEC championship game contender. You play the Egg Bowl, you get a rivalry game win, then you win the SEC championship. That's hard to dispute because how many times have we seen essentially the national championship quarterback receive Heisman votes just because?
Yeah, absolutely.
It happens every year.
Yeah, like if you can get like if Ole Miss can get to like 10 wins, it's 100% on the table.
I do think he would have to fight off. This would be my favorite right now. If you were to say you have to put money down, this guy you think is going to win, I think it's Carson Beck. Because I think Carson Beck's going to go through the rest of the ACC schedule. They're probably not going to be tested too often. He'll still have some marquee games in the ACC that they can win, and I think he's just going to have the numbers to show for it too.
Here's the problem with Carson Beck, though, is he's got a little stink on him.
But
like people just don't like him.
Yeah, but that's the other part too, is that maybe he like retransforms in the national eye, and people just like him again.
You got to remember the narrative, though. It's way sexier to vote for Trinidad Chambliss than it is Carson Beck.
I don't think it is.
I think D2 transfer. Come on,
Miami
D2
quarterback,
transfer?
the U quarterback,
D2 transfer. Like people love a narrative.
I'm a D2 transfer. No one ever gives me credit.
You're not as good as Trinidad Chambliss.
I'm not, because my name's Austin.
And
That's
you
why.
Don't have as cool of a name.
Yeah, Austin's notably not cool.
I mean, it's not as cool of a name. Oh, look, I'm in first place still. Look at that. It's incredible.
Okay, you know what? Whatever.
Well, they've got the team graphic up here.
Shout out KB getting a photo in there. Appreciate you. You're no longer on witness protection. That's nice.
We got KB's photo. Congrats to Team Austin.
Yeah, we're back.
We're
back. Shout out Dante Moore.
My lead has increased, though. I just want people to be aware of that.
That's so cool.
I'm really proud of that.
Did you notice how we're closing the gap on you, though?
You closed your gap. My lead is bigger than it was last week. I only had a 2-point lead last week, and it was over KB.
Size. It's always about
KB is falling back to the pack. He's 107. He's in 4th. TK's in 3rd at 111.
I think Tim regrets drafting DJ Lagway.
I think he probably does. Yeah. DB out of the basement.
Good for him.
He's passed up.
Nico 4 points. That's brutal.
So is it?
Nico's a tough hang for him. He's doing well. I mean, ironically, Sellers is his second worst, but Nico's a tough one.
Yeah.
So can you attribute that because I see a lot of jumping around where, like you said, DB's out of the basement there. Is that attributed to off weeks, or is it the amount of players you got?
I think everybody has the same amount of players, but I think everybody's kind of caught up now.
Yeah, I was ahead early because I had some week zeros,
right?
So did KB. But I think we're mostly getting caught up on games. I also think I think the wins are starting to become a factor.
Right, and that's what
points per win.
Mine and Rico's plan was. We were going to draft winners, and boy, did we draft winners.
Hey,
say that.
Winners, like Arch Manning.
Yep, and Jalen Daniels, notably.
And Kevin Jennings. Ooh. Miller. Oh, no. It's okay. You got some good guys. Dante Moore and Diego Pavia. Those guys are carrying your water for you.
Diego Pavia is about to be Ty Simpson next.
Dude, he's killing it.
He's about to win it.
All right, let's take a quick break here. We're going to get to our guy, Jacob Padilla from Hurrdat Sports and NAB Preps. He'll be live in studio with us.
What?
Live?
Live?
Let's do it live.
Okay, can't wait.
That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Lease the 2025 Nissan Sentra starting at just $275 a month with 0 down. Style, efficiency, and savings made simple at Edwards Nissan. Or sign and drive the 2026 Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. Lease starting at $409 a month. Built for every adventure, backed by Edwards' trusted service and transparent deals. September savings mean Nissan deals at Edwards Nissan.
Very hard on our players from an accountability measure. You know what I mean? Like I believe that I hold them highly accountable because I want every player someday to say that their life is better because they played for us. And I know people might kind of roll their eyes, but that's all I want. I want them to say I had a better life because I went there. So that might be sometimes challenging them. But outside of that, I'm going to defend them to the nth. I know how hard they work. Like even if a guy didn't play well, like what's the point of like burying him? Like what is the point of burying that kid? Like I want to try to build them up. I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about, but when it comes, sometimes I think things are just so lazy. Like He's completing 75% of his passes. He's played 2 Power 4 teams. Even the play with the touchdown to Jacobsen, that's an elite level check. That's not somebody in the headset looking over the sidelines and them going like this. And that's Dylan playing quarterback, man. So yeah, I say it to everyone every time the media comes in. I'm like, let's not do just the Mahomes thing. Now, I mean, I get the Mahomes thing, but that's just such an easy. Let's talk about the football.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. I'm Ravi. That's Austin. We are joined now by Jacob Padilla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. You can get great fall specials like that baked potato pizza. Come check it out and have a great time. You can watch there's 2 Monday Night Football games on tonight. You can watch those. You could have watched Jacob's favorite team here last night go into a 40-40 tie. I'm sorry.
Huge tie guy.
Should I not have brought that up?
No, let's talk about something else.
Is that the first tie that you've witnessed in some time? Because you're not a tie guy yourself, right? I've seen you in polos.
Yeah, no, I think it is the first tie that I've seen from
your team.
Yeah. Well, no, Packers had a tie a handful of years back, I believe. But yeah,
we love a tie.
No, we don't.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean? Both teams win?
Sam McKewon loved it. He
did.
He was having a great time.
It's better than a loss, which they tried to grab there with that last play and the whole sequence and forgetting the clock was running, I guess. I don't know.
As you're watching the last 2.5 minutes, are you just like, what's happening? What's going on?
Well, a lot more than the last 2 minutes I was doing.
Sure, fair.
There was a lot of that game. I'm like,
are we gonna cover George Pickens or not?
Yeah, it was bad.
What was not bad was the volleyball over the weekend.
Hey, there you go.
Got your Nebraska Cornhuskers still undefeated with a win over Maryland, and they've got a huge one coming up this week at Penn State. So we haven't talked to you about Nebraska volleyball in a few weeks here. So I wanted to get kind of your general. I mean, I don't know how much analysis there is. It seems like they're kind of just waxing everybody. How, in your eyes, do you think they've looked, and how much do you think they've progressed over the course of the season? I know sometimes that's harder to gauge when they're all wins, but how do you feel they've progressed so far?
They've definitely made some progress, and they've continued to do a little bit of experimenting, trying to figure things out. I think passing was one area we talked about. There was definitely some room for improvement, and they stacked a couple of really good passing games together. And then there was a lapse in the middle of that Maryland set where that second set kind of got away from them a little bit in that area. But for the most part, I think they've started to figure that out a little bit. Probably talked to them about this on Tuesday. It seems like an inordinate number of their aces allowed are them making bad reads and letting the ball drop, thinking it was going wide. So that's certainly something they need to clean up a little bit. I don't know kind of what the
seems fixable though, right? Hey, just hit it.
Yeah.
I don't get there.
Yeah. I don't know the process there. Who's making the calls? Maybe you need to have somebody else step forward in that area and be a little bit louder. But that seems like, something that they can improve on. But Virginia Adriano, the outside struggled in that Maryland match, but they didn't really need them with the way the middles were playing, and that was the game plan anyway. But Virginia Adriano put 4 really good matches together, and we were looking all right outside of Rebecca Alec at the last time we talked, and Harper Murray. They needed another consistent source of offense, and Adriano certainly provided that for the last couple of weeks. And if she's kind of settled in there, that transforms this team a little bit, because now you got Murray on one pin, Adriano on the other. You got the middles going
going as well. So that really balances out the offense. So they started to figure some things out in that Maryland match. Had the way the Big Ten's looking, she might actually have more opportunities than anticipated to do this, but just basically went with the 6-2 in the second set, the whole second set, simply because she wanted a look at the double sub with Campbell Flynn serving and Ali check in for an extra block up front. And it's like, this is something I feel like we're going to need down the road. And so she just basically gave an entire set to rotating between that and the normal lineup, and also gave Troya Sigler a chance to play all 6 rotations in that as well to spare a sub. So, yeah, I mean, they played all 14 players again against Maryland. So we're going to continue probably to see a little bit of that, but I think they're figuring some things out. They're still not flawless every match, but they're top 5 in both hitting and opponent hitting in the country. So I think they're doing pretty well.
Did you notice
that's gonna do well most of the time?
Yeah.
Did you notice in those first 10 points of the match again on Saturday that just everybody was off? Even the arena was a little bit out of their rhythm. No one was comfortable at 3 p.m. It looked like.
Yeah, it's Maryland 3 p.m. match. There wasn't a whole lot of buzz in it. It was kind of a weird setup, but I enjoyed kind of 3 p.m. match. Got home, watched some night football, and it wasn't there until 10 o'clock at night.
Fair.
So
okay, so what about this Friday? Obviously coming up, Penn State. This match feels so much different than how we felt about it coming into the season, just because of the Izzy Stark, everything that's going on with her, and everything that's gone on with the Penn State program. Kennedy Martin is really trying to make sure that they stay apart, stay at least a competitive team in the top 25 too. How do you evaluate how Nebraska sees this top 25 matchup now when they head out to University Park?
Yeah, Penn State 7-5 now. They dropped one to UCLA despite Kennedy Martin doing pretty much anything a player possibly can on her own.
Yeah.
And they still couldn't get a win. That's probably not a great sign for
Do you think
the
she
Lions.
knew leaving Florida that she was going to be putting another team on her back going to Penn State?
No, I don't think this has gone the way that she anticipated or Penn State, their fans, their coaches, their players. It's unfortunate. This whole Stark situation, you hate seeing something like that for a team that happened so early in the season, where it's not something you prepare for one thing, you play a few matches, and now suddenly you have to completely change everything. But so that definitely does take some shine off this matchup. And also, you look at the schedule. Penn State was the one double play among the expected top teams that Nebraska got. You go to Wisconsin. I forgot, was it Minnesota or Purdue or somebody? You only get them once at their place. So
I think Purdue, you go at Purdue, and that's it.
There we go. There it is. Purdue just lost one as well to Illinois, I believe. So, yeah, the Big Ten's maybe not quite what it has been in the last several years, and they really needed, obviously, their reigning national champion to be among the elite teams in the country, and that hasn't happened so far. That being said, Penn State is still a really tough place to play, and this team hasn't really experienced a true road environment so far. Obviously, the Lipscomb was the one true road match they played, and based on the attendance of that match versus the Kentucky match the following day there at Lipscomb, it was 4,100 to 700. Guessing there's a fair number of fans cheering for the red team in that match. So they've obviously played in some big arena environments, but those were pro Nebraska crowds in every one of those. So this will be their first true hostile road trip. It's just obvious, and so we'll have to see how their young players, their new starters, handle that. But certainly some shine has come off this one based on how Penn State is looking right now.
What's the biggest difference between Harper Murray's attack errors from a couple years ago to where she is now? Because it feels like she's maybe the number of attempts that she gets isn't the same as some of the other counterparts that she has across the country, but it feels like her errors have went down. She's still hitting the ball pretty well.
Yeah, she's improved her consistency tremendously. Year to year, she's taken a leap. She's up to 237 hitting as a freshman, 257 last year, up to 288 now. And I talked about it last time I was in here, they needed to find another source because her hitting 300 every match out you probably can't rely on that to win every night. So that's why Adriano's emergence was so big. But I mean, Murray has still played at a really high level most matches, and she's always had all the shots. You can see she does a great job. I know Danny Bussom Kelly gives her a hard time, doesn't like tips, but she's been one of the better ones I've seen in terms of placing and being able to hit the ball everywhere on the court. Maybe doesn't always have the overwhelming power you see some other pins around the country, but she's so crafty, so shoddy with her attempts. Can place the ball anywhere she wants on the court. And so I think it's just continued. I don't know if there's any one thing. It's just he's continued to get better, continued to become more consistent, and he's got a great connection with Bergen Riley now, going on 3 years together. So I think we're just continuing to see her rise as one of the better players in the country.
Jacob, can I ask you a question as a dummy about volleyball that doesn't have the frame of reference that you guys do? So when you're talking about DBK, like running the 6-2, and obviously we know the deep rotation she's going to. Can you give me like a frame of reference in another sport for what that would be like? Like, would that be like Nebraska running like power I?
Yeah,
or
put
like,
it in Miller North terms for me.
Yeah, like is that like if Miller North would have gone from like wing T to the spread? Like, what are we talking about here? Because it seems crazy.
Yeah, well, no, it's I think more probably just a 2-quarterback system where you're alternating between quarterbacks every other drive. And
so like a Doug Johnson, Jesse Palmer type situation.
You're not necessarily, and it's not necessarily like, oh, it's a running quarterback versus a passing quarterback. It's just 2 different quarterbacks. And so you're not, they didn't dramatically change the way they played. And she said, it's not like, we're not going to see Nebraska running a 6-2 this, it's another example of DBK just like feeling confident enough to just try something in a match because she thinks her team can win no matter what. And also, again, we saw in that was it the Grand Canyon match where she went all subs, and there's a stretch there where it got tight and she let the players play through it. Early in the season, same thing where didn't go back to their starters or whatever. She trusted the players that were getting the opportunity. Like, all right, figure this out, and they did in that second set where they were up big. They let them come all the way back, and then she stuck with it. I mean, it was tight when went back to. She could have left Bergen Riley in and just gone back to their normal rotation to finish that set off. She didn't. It was tied late, and she sent the sub in like normal. And Campbell Flynn, Ali Check, and the rest of the Huskers out there figured it out and pulled out that win. So, nothing too dramatic. It's just a lot more subbing. They're still playing the same way, regardless of which setters out there, which show it is the confidence that they have in Campbell Flynn, and everybody in that program, including Bergen Riley, has in Flynn and the kind of setter that she's going to be down the road for Nebraska.
Well, kind of getting to the point in the season where in years past where Cook would pretty much just find his set and he would be like, this is the group. We're going to ride with them. We're going to go. And this is what it's going to be the rest of the season, barring an injury. Do you think DBK is going to continue switching it up throughout the season, or do you think we're ever going to see like a settled roster at some point throughout this, I guess, until we hit December?
I think we're going to see the set rotation, but we're going to see the continued experimentation as well. And just here and there getting a chance, whether it's a set, whether it's in an individual spot, because she keeps saying she feels like they're going to need everything when you get into the postseason. So the regular season, first and foremost, about getting the wins to win the Big Ten title, but it's also about making sure the team is as good as it possibly can be when they go chasing the national title at the end of the year. And she feels like this is something that this team is going to need. They're going to need those bench players, whether it's injury, whether it's rest on a big weekend where maybe you've got a back-to-back and you want to get Manayo Beche a chance to get in there and play for one of the middles, give them a rest. Whether it is that double sub that she was practicing for with that 6-2 against Maryland, just a lot of different options for if Nebraska gets in a bad spot. We saw the adjustments that she made in that Kentucky match to get them out of it. What she wants is that whatever move she makes isn't something that whoever she calls on is going to be unprepared for. She wants to make sure they get the opportunity to feel confident in that moment because they've been there before. And so I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see some subbing. We're going to see some sets where maybe some players get the day off, but I don't think it's going to be every other match or every week we're going to see, all right, B-side, you get to go play this match. I think we're going to see them get a little bit more consistent with that into Big Ten play. But she's going to take advantage of every opportunity to utilize her whole roster when she can.
How much of it do you think is, we talked a lot about this with, we talk about a lot with football matchups. We talked a lot about it when Bud Crawford was fighting Canelo. How much of it do you think is just she wants to have different ways she feels like she can win? So if something isn't working, like she wants to not just have her players prepared, but just be like, hey, we've got other options here.
Without a doubt, she wants to feel confident. She wants them to feel confident in it. And something we talked about when we got here, the difference is she does at Louisville, she used a bunch of her players. That's just something that she has done and something she believes in as a coach. And that's one of her philosophies is she brings these players into the program for a reason. She believes they can help them, and she wants to make sure they get that opportunity, and she wants to make sure that she's maximizing what she has. And that's what we've seen throughout the season. Like I said, I think we're going to continue to see that. And that's just we talked about the foundation that John Cook has established for this program is one of a national championship contender. And I think what Nebraska fans are hoping and what maybe we're seeing a glimpse of so far is kind of the tweaks that Danny is making to make the program her own. On top of that foundation that Cook established will be enough to get them over the hump where they haven't been able to get since 2017.
Okay, so I want to ask you one last thing just about the Big Ten in general. When it comes to, if you win all of your matches, you're going to be fine, right? You shouldn't have much to worry about when you get to ratings, when you get to ratings and all that other stuff, right? But with the Big Ten maybe having a little bit of an off year, some of the power players outside of Nebraska, I mean, Wisconsin's still going to be competitive, Penn State not up to snuff, but then the rest of the depth's not where kind of they thought it would be. Other conferences have seemed to catch up a little bit. Is that going to hurt Nebraska at all? Like if they do slip up against a Wisconsin, or if they do slip up like somewhere along this Big Ten conference schedule?
I think they've done enough, and also the Nebraska that, you look at their wins, second and they're over so Texas is second. They have unbelievable non-conference resume. Third and fourth are the teams that Nebraska's already beat.
Right.
So they're far enough ahead that ultimately they're going to be the 1 or 2 seed unless they just free fall, I think. But there might, depending on how conference play goes and who Texas plays, whatever, there might be a question at the end in terms of, all right, who's the overall number 1 seed?
Yeah.
Just based on maybe Nebraska not having as many opportunities as we anticipated. But ultimately, I think that's kind of what they're stressing out is, hey, the day-to-day, the game-to-game, we have to be up every single game. And also, again, we've seen some stretches where they haven't necessarily been at their best, and they've pulled themselves out of it. It's a combination of they're talented enough to not play their best and still win, and also the self-correcting that we've seen from them is a trait that I think will help them over the long haul put together a really good record, and then also in the postseason when we get there have a chance to turn things around if they're not going well.
That is your volleyball recap with our guy Jacob Padilla, Hurrdat Sports and NEB Preps. Speaking of NEB Preps, you've got another show to do here.
That we do.
Preps post game, baby.
Little Preps post game. Wrap up a week of high school football action.
Yeah. Chalk. A lot of chalk. Well, one notable, but you'll have to check out the episode to find out.
Yeah, you gotta find it out.
Come on now.
That's Austin. That's Jacob. I'm Ravi. Shane, appreciate the producing as well. Rico's back at the office. He's doing something, creating memes probably.
Yeah, probably.
Hi, Rico.
That is the show for today. We'll be back tomorrow right here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.